Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another Oot Cast. Myself and Techno this time around. We'll probably be alternating for guests, so 1 month it'll be just us two, and the next month we'll have a guest. Next likely guest is to be our young Master Kaz, so look forward to that in the coming months.
That's right.
For now, we are bracing ourselves for the plunge that is Chapter 48.
And it's the plunge.
There's a lot to unpack in this chapter, which I know we say a lot with it, but in this case, oh boy.
Yeah, this is gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be longer than last episode, but this one's gonna be pretty lore heavy. So
yeah, that's basically how this is gonna be. There's gonna be, I think, less digression this time around, but it's gonna be a very, very dense chapter with a lot of stopping and starting and going through stuff. So bear with us, because I'm sure we will miss things and miss connections as we go, because there is a lot to get through. Right. Yes. Let us begin.
Let us begin.
And here we cut back in on Kay and Mizue after their little tete-a-tete following the events with Jamie and CJ. And I am quite liking the fact that we see Kay is actually not resistant to it. She's actually quite happy, almost.
Yes.
Almost. I mean, she obviously on some level she still craves the intimacy that she's denied herself for a very long time. So, I'm quite personally happy about that.
Yeah,
you know.
I couldn't be. Yeah, I know. No disagreement on that. Earlier, by the way.
Yes, this is before those events. Now we get to see what Sarah and Kieran were up to as they go to visit Kieran's mother to make sure that she hasn't been possessed by anything gribbly. And man, has Sarah been working to prepare Kieran for this, psyching her up and psyching her down, as the case may be.
Sarah's really looking for any reason to leave, for sure.
In many respects, I think. Well, I mean, she probably literally knows better than anyone that Kieran is not really ready for this. But also recognizes that trying to stop Kieran completely is not going to help things either. So this is kind of the lesser evil, I suppose, in her mind.
I guess. I mean, this is the point of no return.
There it is. There it is.
There it is. That's the thumbnail.
That's the name for the chapter, and it's a doozy. The point of no return. But yes, we open on the girls, that is Ashley, Shiori, and Harugi, all watching, in a very based fashion, I might add, the OG Conan the Barbarian with the mighty Arnie. Truly, I can't agree more. Yes, that is, it plays the trope straight, it commits to its goofiness, it really respects its own story. She's absolutely right. This is why it's a good movie.
I'll take your word for it.
Peasant.
I know, some of us aren't 40 years old, but, you know, I'm sure I'll get to it.
Look at see the symmetry here. Green-eyed Haruki, blue-eyed Shiori with blue and green-eyed Ashley. A symphony of likely to be Hebe shards. However you want to pronounce it. But yes, they just came in, which I'm a little surprised by, but here we go. And Sarah is already stumbling over her words. She knows that this is probably not going to go well. Kieran, great opening, Kieran.
Yeah,
what the
wonderful.
fuck are you doing here?
And of course, Ashley being like, "What do you mean? Am I not allowed to have friends?
Am I just not allowed to have friends?" I mean, it's nice to see Ash like just directly riposting though, not being afraid and cowering away from it. Because I think she's realized, I think that it's not. That Kieran's not in a good place and is struggling, and a lot of her aggression is just misplaced for that reason. It's easy to underestimate Ash, which I think is kind of one of the main points of this arc, and the next one quite likely too. Kieran being super subtle, just want to make sure Mom isn't being weird or weirder, and Sarah trying to minimize.
And then Kieran throwing shade immediately.
Being
possessed could make her any worse, which is quite a statement considering everything that we've seen.
Yes, sure. Well, we'll get more into Kieran's issues with Yukino, her mom, later. once we get to some more direct dialogue about that. But for now, it's just a case of, oh, she's not here. She's already left for work,
Yep.
which isn't suggestive at all.
Work, yeah, totally work.
Now someone else is trying to minimize. And that whereas Ash immediately takes the bull by the horns. What, you think she's all Sarah-y now?
And then Sarah be like, see? They saw her today, and everything was fine. So we can pull you out of their hair and go home. Right now.
Right now. And Misaki is trying to help, but I think she is aware that how close to the edge Kieran is right now.
Yeah.
You might be causing more problems than we're preventing. Oh, Misaki, how true you are. Although not really as any fault to Kieran per se.
Yeah.
But just get out. And Karen, all right, sorry. She does accept it in the moment, to be fair. I think if...
And see, now that she's accepted, she's like, guys, okay, fair enough. We'll leave. Nothing...
And then in comes Yukino, which I think if that hadn't happened, things might have not blown up in the way that they do.
Oh no,
here we go.
Everything would have been fine, for sure. Maybe.
Well.
Better.
And Sarah immediately knows that Kieran is not going to cope, because she goes, oh no, but she's not looking at the door, she's looking at Kieran. Yukino's voice instantly triggers Kieran in a way I don't think many things can.
There's my little treat bag.
My little treat bag, she says, in a very mincing way as she comes in.
Totally ignoring Kieran, by the way.
Well, she probably just didn't register her presence. I really like this one, girls gotta impress, Yukino says, which is, as we learned about in this current sequence, is a very loaded way of saying things.
Yeah.
Very easy to misinterpret, especially with Yukino's past, as we, have established and will establish. And everyone's just frozen as they try to process that's about to happen. And here we are.
Yep.
First proper look at Yukino.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think this is the first time we've, seen her at all, right?
It is full on. We've seen a couple of very fleeting glimpses of an outline or a hand or something. Nothing more than that. But it's interesting that her appearance is very much a combination between Olivia and Kay when you actually look at her style and body and just overall appearance, which I think is obviously very appropriate. But it's worth noting as we go into this that she is quite the bombshell. And Kieran is frozen, just staring at her. And here we get the first of what burns with a lot of people. Crow, but not Crow as we know her now.
No, I
Crow
don't.
as she was.
Yeah, Crow as she was, definitely.
This is Kieran being whispered in her ear by Crow from when Crow was possessing her. Now, I'll get it out of the way up ahead. We don't know. It could just be a psychological element for Kieran, where it's literally just Crow as a manifestation of her trauma, whispering in her ear. It could be some kind of spiritual residue from Crow's possession of her. It could be both. We don't know yet, but it is what it does in this chapter is very much the demon on your shoulder, whispering dark things that push you into dark choices. She literally does that in a couple
scenes where she goes back right and left shoulder, talking to her, don't you really? Shouldn't you just fucking murder her? But we're getting
whatever this entity is, as is wearing Crow's name and look. Be it a manifestation of trauma or an actual entity or some combination of both.
If it is an actual entity, which I had this thought whenever I first played this, I was like, is this... Because this isn't Crow. First of all, I was like, even...
Not the Crow we know, at least.
No, not the Crow that we know. Because, well, we see later, but not super relevant to this point right now. It could be another entity. I do think that someone made a good point to me. It was like, yeah, it's probably just whatever remnant of Crow is left inside of Kieran is probably just we've done this before. You know what's about to happen. Look, she hasn't changed at all. However, I did think outside the box answers, it could be the Mara, illusions,
I mean, possibly. I
deceptions.
don't feel like that. My
But
personal guess is a little bit esoteric. My personal guess is that this is actually the crow part of Kieran, because Kieran is a crow shard. This is pretty much established now, functionally at least.
yeah,
She is
this
a
is.
crow shard. That was her purpose. That was what
I
crow
mean,
made her to
any
be.
deniers to that at the end of this chapter will need to look themselves in the mirror,
Really,
because
yeah,
it's
it's
pretty fucking blatant.
Kieran is a crow shard. So in the same way that Leia is Carpo, which was a key component of Leia's arc, Kieran is Crow. And the part of one of the aspects that we saw in Leia's past monologues, even before her arc, but especially in her arc, was that there was always in the part almost like a split personality element going on with Leia. Like her external monologue and her internal monologue was so drastically different that it was almost like a separate person.
Yeah.
I mean that's the cornerstone of what makes Leia's arc, her resolution as an individual, her character arc, is the acceptance of that part of herself as part of herself. If we take that perspective here, this crow may well be the crow part of Kieran in a much more direct sense, that maybe she's like tried to push away from, or it's manifesting directly like this because of the trauma that she has. So it's wearing Crow's face because Crow is the face of Kieran's trauma. Crow is the root of all the bad things that have happened to Kieran, at least in her perception. Which, and to be fair, it's a pretty accurate one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's without merit, but also I pretty much agree with that. I think that's more than likely what's happening here. That's not.
Yeah. But we'll talk more on this as we go forward, because again, as I said earlier, this is a lot to unpack. But yes, it's also important to note that this crow takes the classic role that it's almost like a more obvious and conscious version of what happens to a lot of people who come from a place of trauma and bad experiences, where their depression, their anger, their the negative parts of them, which have been born of that, will basically undermine them by whispering the darkest possible interpretations of everything that happens in front of them. It's often at the root of a lot of depression, a lot of mistakes people make in judgment, things like that, because they assume the worst, because some part of them craves that worstness. It's very self-destructive. It's very classical mental behavior, where you basically talk yourself into a state of profound distress and anger and emotional upset.
Mm-hmm. And it really is harping on the fact that it's one thing for her to lie to your face, but of course, her sister tried to cover for her.
She feels guilty. She feels guilty on many levels. I mean, one thing we've gathered is that Yukino was not a good mom, right? And again, this is something we'll talk about right now, because otherwise we'll just end up interrupting again later to talk about it. But Yukino was not a good mom. We know that Crow siphoned physical strength and traits and mental traits as well from various members of Kieran's family bloodline to power her upgrades. That's why she's so much bigger and stronger and faster and all those other things. We know that she took physical things from Shiori and Haruki. We know that, we know that she also did that to Kei. The mental elements we don't have much of a clue about, except for the fact that Yukino, her mom, is noted for bad decisions, frivolous behavior, recklessness. These could indicate that that's where those mental faculties weakening or being not as strong are a side effect of Crow having leached common sense in a bizarre sense from Yukino, which is why she is the way she is, the way she behaves. And even before, however, even before Kieran Crow manifested in Kieran, Yukino was not a good mother. She was not, if not actively abusive, was definitely neglectful, because we see several times.
Definitely neglectful.
We see several times Kieran, basically having to admit that her mother wasn't feeding her properly, and by proxy, her sisters who were younger than her. And
well, she was taking the money that Kay was sending and just spending it on
drink
fucking
and drink and
anything
I mean,
that's not
it's
food.
it's worth clarifying that Yukino is implied to have basically been a hooker, but not quite a hooker. My guess personally is that she was basically like a woman who went from relationship to relationship, spending a lot of money recklessly, sleeping with random dudes, living a very high life, and probably ending up as the sugar baby of whoever would keep her for a time. She's obviously quite inherently
Yeah,
sexual.
especially after the beginning, we just saw her walk in and be like, "Ooh, I found another one."
Yeah, it's not quite a like. She wouldn't necessarily say she had a job as being like a hooker, but she lived her life on her back. Basically, would be the way people would put it.
Yeah.
And that obviously is not exactly the healthiest example for a bunch of kids. And yeah, Crow, the Crow with we'd have to give this one a label: Dark Crow, Kieran Crow, Evil Crow. I mean, how does that even
Bad thoughts,
apply?
Crow. Bad thoughts, Crow.
Bad Thoughts Crow. Okay, Bad Thoughts Crow. That's good. We'll go with Bad Thoughts Crow for now. So Bad Thoughts Crow really just pushes Kieran here, and immediately doesn't take really that much to push Kieran over the edge. But then she wasn't.
Second, and immediately.
Look at me, fuckface, and just Haruki tries to intercede, but no. This, I think, is a glimpse of what Kieran used to be like when she was at her worst. At least in some sense.
Oh, for sure.
But the look on Misaki's face when the look on Yukino's face when she realizes that Kieran / Misaki is there, shock, dismay, even fear. But then she immediately tries to sort of nervously go, "Oh, hi, dear. Glad to see you. It's so nice you dropped by." Oof. Dismissive language.
Yeah.
Desperately trying to escape before anything escalates. Which could be taken as cowardice, or it could be taken as trying to de-escalate. We don't know yet. Like, a lot of this back conversation we're about to see could be interpreted in several different ways. Some of them very unhealthy. Some of them actually, someone who's actually trying to help. We don't know.
I would also view it as like she's still focused on trying to go out to whoever she's meeting. I mean,
the thing is, maybe it is important. Maybe this is a legitimate business meeting. Maybe this is a legitimate thing, and it's an important business meeting where she's going to meet someone who can actually,
well, she almost says date. So.
Yeah, but that could also be, or almost could also be say, and you can have business dates. Date is a word that can be used in a number of different ways beyond the romantic connotations. Although the way she immediately corrects really doesn't help to work meeting. And Sarah
immediately knowing it's already over.
It's already, yeah.
And then Bad Thoughts Crow popping in here again.
Were she a whore, she'd at least be bringing in money to feed your sisters. Yeah, it's even in that
she's a failure. God, Bad Thoughts Crow
is very dark. And now, as we said earlier, as Techno said, back and forth, just bombarding Kieran with all of the most negative thoughts and memories that she can have. You do know how useless you'd be without me, don't you? Minimizing Kieran, boosting Crow, like mother, like daughter, just.
Oh God, that's just gotta hurt. I mean, Kieran, even without Crow's help, doesn't like her mom at all, and then just being like, yeah, without me, you'd be like your fucking mom, and it's like, ooh. That's just.
If you really think about it, Kieran's mother is the architect of a lot of Kieran's biggest hang-ups.
That's just wild though. That Kieran, because we're assuming, we don't know for sure that this Crow isn't just something else, but we're assuming it's just a part of Kieran, and this is the way she's thinking. Like, yeah, the person you hate the most. Yeah, without her help, you'd be like the other person that you hate the most. Oh yeah. My God, it's just fucking
for awful. Someone with personal, and on top of that, with someone with personal autonomy issues, that's just going to be even worse. Weakness and compromise, the pebbles that formed her mountain over a wretched lifetime. She even speaks like Crow. Very similar diction, choice of words. But then who would know better than Kieran as to how Crow speaks? Of course, you only suffer such a presence because you deserve it. See, this is the bad thoughts element I'm talking about. It's
not remember. It was because Crow's necklace now has the shading from Tsukiko already.
Correct.
Clearly, this one doesn't. Did she, in the earlier chapters, did she have a whole necklace? Because I swore it was also discolored and shit.
She did, I believe. But the key element that gives it away as being Old Crow is the coloration of her hair and the nose, which is the old model Crow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, and the ornaments on her necklace also are slightly different. But it's just Crow. This Bad Thoughts Crow just pounding in. The now will you fail again as you always have. This is the thing. This is the part pushing her to such violent action. Is not the idea of anything else, but Kieran failing her sisters again. The sister, like if her mom represents her anger and frustration and rage and all that, her sisters represent her shame and guilt. And
I do wonder if Kieran would have gotten as mad as she did if her sisters weren't around. I do wonder, because I mean, obviously she still would have been pissed, but like, I mean, it's very clear, like, oh yeah, mom just showed up to leave everybody that was here again to go out again and spend.
But nothing's changed. Yeah,
changed.
Nothing's changed. It's despite their Karaki's reassurances that she's been better. Where the fuck do you think? So Kieran now just going full aggression mode, meeting a client.
And you're right to maybe give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, what if she's going out with a client? I mean, it may also be a date, but like, what if it's legitimately a client? Like, you can, you're right, you can.
She's a lawyer, isn't she?
It's a good question. I'm not.
I can't actually remember her job.
I was going to ask, does she have a job? Because I couldn't remember.
It's been implied. I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't remember.
Then we gotta learn, like, everybody's.
Yeah, I mean that's an Ask Anon question. That's an Ask Anon question.
But she did so.
I don't think she's a lawyer. Now she's thinking about it. I think she maybe is like some kind of PR thing or something. But
well, we'll have to go back and ask, I'm sure. But the one thing that's like giving me more doubt than anything is just the fact that she came back for her treat bag, and then we're gonna learn later. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here, but that
And Kieran immediately reaching out to grab Yukino's face in an act of very much power and control move right there. That's touching someone's face is a power move in a lot of respects because of how much it violates one's sense of personal space, even more so than grabbing an arm or a leg or anything like that. The face is the core of identity, after all. Also worth noting, Yukino has pure green eyes, just like his sister has blue.
I will, however, point out that she does, even though she's about to get her ass handed to her, whether or not it's deserved is not in front of them. And I feel like if she didn't care at all...
Well, this is the thing, is that if the core of Yukino's problems are that her mental faculties are compromised by Crow draining them from her, can you really blame her?
Yeah, but the thing is, we don't know.
Or can you say that there was any kind of malice in her actions? That's the thing. I don't think Yukino had any malice in her mistakes and actions, but that rather that she was incapable. Like, it's, in a strange way, it kind of echoes people who were brought up by single parents with things like bipolar disorder and stuff like that, where they don't treat them as properly as parents, and they can be very difficult for the kids to deal with and live with, but there's no malice in their actions. It's just a facet of their illness that makes them ill-equipped to be a parent.
Yeah.
Which is not a defense necessarily, obviously, of the wrong that they do, but at least makes it understandable.
I don't know. I'm not trying to... Again, we haven't even seen, like, all we've
the revelation coming up about her, the revelation coming up about Yukino really does add a lot of dark flavor to it as well.
Which is why I was gonna say the treat bag, if it's still like, I could totally see this being like, no, it really is a misunderstanding. The treat bag is no longer for drug use.
Not that kind of treat. She's just recalling it that out of
habit or whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe she really has changed, and this just looks like everything that Karen's seen before, but it just happens.
It's also worth noting the tip of Kieran's hair is redder than, I swear, is redder than normal. It might just be in my head, but the tip of that blonde strand looks pretty red to me right now.
I think that might just be the shading, but I mean, you're right.
But if so, I mean, it could be part of why. I mean, the shading, art imitated, connected to life, and here we are. Bad Thoughts Crow, again, whispering and look at the fear in her eyes, how pathetic. And She's everything you wish you would never be. Because again, this is a classic thing for someone who's got trauma, is becoming their abuser. That's one of the things they will always be the most afraid of.
So it's so awful hearing that come from Crow.
Everything they shouldn't be, referring to her sisters there.
Yeah.
This is I think this is what this sort of stuff really pushes to me that Crow, the Crow of the past would probably do this for shits and giggles, but the way this Bad Thoughts Crow's words are so tailored to the situation and so tailored to Kieran's issues and traumas really nails home to me that this is almost very highly likely a part of Kieran that she's suppressed or ignored, or is acting on its own.
I'm willing to put money on that. I'm sure it is, because that's what it really seems like. But oh man, does it suck to see
Kieran going through this? Yeah, she doesn't. After all that she's been through, she's still struggling with.
Well, I mean,
for the kind of trauma that she's gone through, obviously there's not really a direct real world analog, but that's the sort of thing that takes years and years of therapy and work to process. And here she is being forced to confront it very directly in the space of a few months. Because that's something we have to. It's been less than 9 months since her possession by Crow has ended. That's a fraction of her lifespan. She's barely been free, and it's
only to be bonded with her again.
Yeah, forced back into confronting all of that trauma and pain and all the horrible things that she did. Because this is the thing. This is also kind of touches to a point I professionally have to deal with sometimes, that as horrible and twisted as it may sound, sometimes the perpetrators of a crime or a bad thing carry scars almost as deep as those they victimize as part of that crime. Because you have to understand what it takes to reach a mental process of a place to realize the wrong you have done and seek to correct it. The level of guilt and shame that engenders is very difficult to pass for a lot of people. It's one of the main reasons people don't admit to their mistakes of this nature, generally speaking. They try to rationalize their way out of it. Because confronting the realization that you are in some way, shape, or form capable of being a true monster is extremely difficult to do. Yeah. I mean, Leia, in some respects, managed to kind of escape it and get around it in a weird, twisted way because of just how bad her family situation was. But yes, let's keep going. As we warned, we're going to bog down a lot on this because there is so much to unpack.
For sure.
Yukina saying, whatever you think I'm doing or done, I promise you. But Kieran's too far gone at this point. Tilting her head. Are you using again? Showing that Yukina was a drug user at some point.
Yeah.
Personal guess would be cocaine. Or possibly pills. And Sarah actually interceding. I personally suspect Sarah used some of her control over Kieran there to pull her back. Judging by the abruptness and the capitalization of the "that's enough." And then Yukino, take whatever you want and leave. Honestly, there are a few things. If you come back again, I'm calling the police. There are a few things that are more guaranteed to cut at Kieran than that. Treating her like the bad guy, which she may well be in this situation, but
yeah, I mean, we just don't have enough context. From our perspective, we don't think so. And I'm willing to give Kieran the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, it's not like she's making it up, but oh my God.
I mean, this is the problem. When the root of all this family conflict and trauma is something supernatural outside of the norm,
yeah,
questions of who to blame, questions of blame and responsibility become hopelessly blurred.
Like, you make a good point, because you brought it up multiple times. Is like, do we blame her mom's actions of like neglecting everybody because Crow was draining stuff from her? That's a very valid point. We don't know, which sucks, because it would be really easy to point the finger at Crow again. But it's worth mentioning at this point. It's worth mentioning at this point something that Anon mentioned in conversation to me yesterday when we were talking about a little bit about this chapter. That
Olivia and Yukino are different reflections of where hypersexual people can end up. Olivia found a healthy outlet with her husband and was able to live a full, happy, healthy life. Yukino never found that. So she ended up becoming sexually very reckless and getting drawn into bad relationship after bad relationship after bad relationship. So they are two terminus points for people with similar traits. Because I believe they are twins, right? Like, I'm not crazy. They are twins.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a mirror. It's one of the many mirroring elements that Anon likes to put into Oot.
I think you're right.
Play here.
I think they are sisters. I know that. I think they are twins.
I'm pretty sure they are. And even if they're not, it's close enough in terms of age.
Well, I mean, twin is such a fucking weird word in this franchise.
Yeah, it's such a loaded term, right?
Do you mean fake twin? Do you mean real twin? Do you
spiritual
mean
twin? Are we talking spiritual twins, physical twins? Are we talking clone twins?
Are we talking twins that aren't actually twins? It's just a clone of yourself. That's actually just a part of your soul.
Are we talking twins who are like twins who are spiritually twins, but ended up separated on a biological level because of spiritual interference from a powerful entity? Like, there are layers to unpack here, my guys.
Being related in this universe, never simple.
Never simple.
Never simple.
All right.
Related to somebody.
Yukino tells Kieran just to take whatever she wants and go, because that's whether she actually means that as an attack or whether it's just her way of trying to like just leave, just end this is up for debate.
Why can't Kieran?
Because let's be honest, as terrible as Yukino probably was, and may still be or not, Kieran was not easy to live with once Crow.
Well, I mean, no, it was pretty much Crow. I mean, we know that Kieran beat the shit out of her sisters, like physically abusive. Yeah.
Odds are she may have done the same to Yukino at points, even if it didn't stick because of Yukino's problems. Because trust me, getting physical with drug users, that doesn't solve the problem.
No.
Just take my professional word on that.
And then as soon as she leaves, the light returns, and Kieran realizes what just happened.
And the look she got. If you go back a panel, the looks from Haruki and Sarah. Sarah is just disappointment, and even a little anger from Sarah. I feel there is what
definitely for sure, because disappointment is all.
Well, Haruki kind of seems almost is resignation and disappointment. Like she's.
Well, it kind of seems. Well, that's fair. Seems like she expected that to happen.
Well, if you look at the way that the body language, it's very defensive. It's not off. It's it's very.
Yeah.
And Shiori emoting as best she can. And look, stop. If we look here through the window.
Yep.
Here we go. This is where shit's about to get a bit crazy. Antagonist and Ashley, interestingly, being the one to start here. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, perfectly.
Understandably. I mean, she's basically speaking for the audience in some respects right now. Like, what the fuck was that?
We spent a whole half chapter trying to get you prepared for this not to happen, and then we just did it anyway. Sarah tried so hard. Sarah tried so hard to make sure that didn't happen, and it did. And then Ashley being a little, being real here, but...
Yeah, I mean, a little harsh, but I think necessarily harsh.
Yeah. Did
you really need to throw a fucking temper tantrum too? Like, again, not the most diplomatic delivery, but she makes a fair point.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the thing, is that really makes me think that Kieran really just misunderstood what happened, because I feel like if Ashley hangs out here... Well, but if Ashley hangs out here enough to know, like, she should know that that's her goal. Like, if her mom was actually using again, or if she was genuinely just going out with dudes all the time like she normally did, it wasn't Like,
I mean, if she is just going out with dudes and banging them, and as long as Haruki and Shiori are getting looked after, is it really any of their fucking business?
No.
Like, I know it sounds like kind of messed up,
it's
but
not.
the,
But
the
she's
ship has
still
sailed when
using
it comes
the
to being
money
a
that
mom.
she's getting from Kay. Or did Kay handle that? Because Kay said
Kay
she
apparently
was going
handled
to.
that. Yeah,
She
I mean,
did? Okay.
Haruki mentions in passing in an earlier chapter that things are a lot better since Grandma Kay called Yukino and said some things to her. We don't know what, but we suspect.
We don't know, but we can probably suspect it was pretty fucking
pretty pointed and spiky.
Yeah.
Like Kay, for all of her distance from them, obviously deeply cares about her grandchildren and her kids, and her own and her daughters.
Yeah.
So but especially her granddaughters. She's not. I suspect that she said something very sharp and spiky to Yukino. That maybe that was even what made Yukino change. I mean, if we go with the idea that Yukino isn't using again, and this was in some way at least a semi-legitimate business meeting.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's that couldn't have been, but maybe like months ago at the very most. People don't change that soon. But again, I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt.
But
maybe she was trying.
Sometimes
maybe she
it can
was
take.
Trying.
Yes, sometimes all it can take is a singular event, and definitely the process of personal growth and change when you're trying to break unhealthy and bad habits is very much 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You're not going to get it right every day. You cannot expect perfection. You're going to have relapses. You're going to make mistakes. Yeah. It's just the height of cruel naivete to believe otherwise. So I mean I agree with you here personally. I think that Yukino probably has at least improved. She's not, the girls seem to be well fed and relatively happy. So I think personally that maybe she's at least improved, even if she's not like being a good mom. She's not being an actively bad mom. And Haruki just go because she's. But that's. It's interesting at Misaki, what the hell happened? See, this is what makes me wonder if there is a spiritual element here. Because where was Misaki in that whole experience? Yeah. You'd think that she would have acted or said something. But she was silent, which is odd, to say the least. Why did you do that? She doesn't understand it.
Yeah, she's like, wait, why did we just talked about not doing this, and we did it? Why did we do that? Why? Yeah, I mean, she makes good fun. It's like you flipped the switch.
I didn't even recognize you. That's
crazy.
It's an oddity, all right. It's something. That's a big sort of thing that makes me lean towards there maybe being a spiritual component here that we're not fully aware of, or Kieran herself isn't aware of. But Kieran, see, now this is an interesting one. Kieran doesn't get angry. She shuts down. She just goes, whatever. She withdraws into herself. This is like classic coping mechanism. She's falling back into old behaviors, but not the aggressive ones per se, but just not caring, apathy, disconnecting. This is very classic behaviors for someone having a traumatic episode and then retreating from it. Ashley is just confused because she wants to talk about it and try to at least understand. Haruki looks just kind of done with it.
The reactions for everybody else here. Sarah just seems more worried about her sisters at this point.
Well, she feels responsible, I suspect, is what it comes down. And she kind of is, in a weird way, I guess. Sarah just showing that she doesn't quite understand humans, which is, again, not her fault. She's not human. She's,
Sarah's eyes seem a bit darker in that photo. Maybe it's just...
In that shot. Well, that's kind of the dull eyes thing.
Yeah.
But Shiori reaching out to Sarah there, showing her empathy.
The angle.
And Haruki. See, that's the thing. Haruki says, you got her to stop before she did anything. Which is more than she's ever achieved. Which shows you that she's been hurt in the past. She's been so different this year, I almost forgot what she used to be like, the old her. Which shows that this is very much reminiscent of what she was like before. Like, that's directly saying that. And Ashley's still trying to intercede. What are you doing in there? Are you even listening to me? Fuck off. You're not getting out of it that easily. We're a freaking team. You have to talk to me. Ashley really stepping up here.
Yeah, Ashley's been stepping up these past couple chapters. Ashley's been stepping up.
Which again, makes sense. But it's interesting. Kieran just staring at the wall. She's not. Mm-hmm. She's just shutting down.
Now this
looking
part,
for something.
I don't. I did want to know if you.
She's looking for something there. Interestingly, Yeah, she's looking for something here. We're not quite sure what, but she picks up a watch.
She picks up the watch, which I don't know if that's the thing that she's looking for. If she was, I was gonna go, I don't know why she'd be looking for that. But
I mean, my first guess was that she was looking for her mom's stash. But to see if she still has one, but we don't know. But again, here we go.
I feel like it would have been in the bag, but anyway.
Well, no, trust me. Most drug users have more than one stash. They have the drugs they carry with them, and then most of their drugs will be in a stash somewhere in their home or nearby.
And then, of course,
here becomes the action part. This is where things really blow up. Here's the bike start up. What the fuck is that? The light shines. Looks out the window and boom, baby. Oh shit. Bike through the window.
Yep.
Ashley, what was that? The whole house shook. That sounded like glass breaking. Everyone's just in shock. Kieran.
Total.
What the hell is that? She says. And here we get Strike's LR character, who we're gonna. Apparently, the nickname is Shrike for now. So we'll call her Shrike until we get an actual name. I had heard rumors. The girl, aka Lindsay, who is very different from how she used to be. There's no more shrinking Violet here. She's now quite vicious in her words. We have a team up going on.
Self-righteous.
Right where all of these
here.
monsters belong. Wow, I wonder where we've heard rhetoric like that before.
Really makes you think.
Really makes you think. But yes, Lindsay and you know, we don't have a name for Shrike yet, but here she is. Don't cash your checks yet. The bike bounced right off her good. Yellow eyes, interestingly, despite the green clothes. Which reduces my initial theory that they were also heavy shots. They seem to be something else. My personal guess is Lindsay is a fae connected somehow. Maybe an ancestor similar to Teresa.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, other than what are we calling Strike's LR character? Just Strike?
Strike. Yeah.
Other than her being G-modded out the hell, like I think I don't think there's a whole lot of spiritual shit going on with her. Lindsay, you're probably right.
Oh, she absolutely does. She has a whole sequence which we'll get to later. Kieran.
Oh yeah, I know. We see that later. I'm just.
Yeah, Kieran here. I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but you just made the biggest mistake. She just found someone to vent her rage on.
Yeah,
I don't think she's thinking
as if it was planned. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe.
I mean, not impossible.
Not
the
impossible.
the other possibility for that crow, for the bad thoughts crow, is that Lindsay had something to do with it because she shows her ability with illusions as we see going forward. So who knows? Who the fuck I am? Seriously? Of course she wouldn't recognize us. She's a beast, not even human. Lindsay's gone kind of dark and red pilled here, my guys. Like she's
okay.
She's been on that she's been on that doom maxing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god! Shut up. We're moving on.
25 seconds.
Now,
starts a countdown here.
Yeah.
You were always such a fucking shithead, said Shrike. So the presumption in the past is that she is the friend of Crows from the Muay Thai gym, which would be logical and fit.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that she says, "Go fuck yourself, Crow," as in the bird, rather than you know exactly why I'm here. So she's talking to Crow. She's not talking to Kieran because she doesn't know Kieran. Quite possibly, she knows Crow.
And she misspells what she says.
Well, it's because she doesn't understand the difference. Quite possibly, Crow and Misaki reacting. Does she know us? I don't recognize her at all. She knew Crow.
Well, Kieran did remember that she had someone, like
but only the idea of someone. She didn't know who they were or what they looked like. But yes, good point Misaki making here. If she knows that Crow, she knows how strong you are, but she's not frightened in the least. What the hell is going on? That's the answer to the question we're all asking right now. Zaki, thank you for
What
being the
is
audience
going
surrogate.
on? It's all falling apart.
Kieran, get out of here. I'll handle this. There you go. There you are. This one, Shrike, obviously here, this character here, she wants a fight. She's obviously desperate for a fight. And as we learn, their relationship with Lindsay seems to be one based on mutual self-interest rather than any kind of friendship. Could just be a kill junkie. It would kind of fit. I mean, it was someone
really been given the power to really do whatever the fuck she wants now, which makes sense for later. I'll talk about it.
Yeah. But yes, apparently Lindsay's been radicalized against all spiritual entities.
What do you think the countdown is here for?
I'm guessing some kind of boost, perhaps?
Well, I do have a theory. We'll see. I know I just played this. We'll remember. I'll see if anything happened at 1 or not. I don't remember.
Or I'll crack their heads like eggs. And knowing exactly who to go
I
after
know what I know what the countdown's for. Never mind. It's for whenever it's gonna knock Kieran and Sarah out, because
right.
Yeah, that's what it's for. Because somebody told them exactly what time it was gonna be. And then, of course, Kieran with her colorful comments.
I mean, she's just in combat mode right now, so.
Of course.
Sarah, they're asking the pertinent question. And also connecting it to CJ almost instantly, so because he feels what he feels, don't forget, so.
Yeah, well, this is right before Tsukiko is gonna.
Yeah.
Totally.
Do stuff. Now, that's the whole conversation about how Grandpa knew to do this. Whether he was just because he was closely monitoring things, or whether he had some kind of prescience. That's something we don't know. We'll discuss that when we get to his part later.
Yeah, it gets a little convoluted. Of like, so where does the planning start? Because.
But yes, Kieran and Sarah get knocked on their asses by the spiritual backlash of whatever Tsukiko does to CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Which is no joke. Even with Sarah blocking most of it. We're the only ones who can stop them to get up.
Dude, I know Misaki's had forever to feel this way, but dude, imagine just being not able to do anything.
Yeah, the helplessness is no joke. And Haruki, of course, his sisters get kidnapped. Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah. Implying rape there, really not making Shrike look like a nice anything.
Okay.
Nor what he said.
Yeah. Well, no, because this is totally Grandpa's plan. It's all planned out.
Grandpa
to
is
the
one
second, which is why she was
involved on some level. Yeah.
Which is why Lindsay was counting to the. I mean, everything was planned out. At exactly 9:45, this will happen, and 30 seconds after.
Or perhaps it's more of an active connection than that. Maybe she's connected to Grandpa on a spiritual level, and he can communicate to her that stuff like that. We don't know. We just don't have enough information to really form a conclusion. But that, if you go back one,
sure.
That stance like that. That's something we've seen before. That's a stance that's not unique to, that's fairly unique to various entities that like to use spiritual energy.
Well, I mean, her being related at all to anything spiritual is not super surprising. She always seemed, whenever.
Well, she managed to spy through a second floor window and a set of blinds when she was in middle school. So yes.
Yeah, she was flying.
The only pity is not killing her right here and now, the wretch. Which is, she's, taking orders from someone. She's following somebody's schedule.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be waiting, Crow. And then Lindsay just fucking firing shot
Well,
after
this
shot.
is revenge on her biggest bully who almost killed her. So
yeah. Of course.
She's so deep in the revenge hole, I don't think she's,
No.
because this is a pretty common thing. I mean,
Once
I hate to say
again,
this.
another chapter that we can just blame on Crow. God, it's so
Gosh.
easy.
Oh god.
So easy. That's why you come here for these episodes, is for the hard-hitting facts. It's all Crow's fault. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. No.
Wow. The crow cultists in shambles.
I know. Crow cultists in shambles have been since episode 1.
Damn. But yeah, no, this is classic, you know, I'm better than my bully, then therefore I can do whatever I want kind of, you know.
Yeah.
This is how trauma can go and take you in unhealthy directions under malign influence, my
Again,
friends.
this sort of reaction, I feel like, isn't super weird. It's like, oh, by the way, now you have the ability, like, hey, guess what? Your bully that was totally a psychopath, guess what? Actually is a monster. No, like, seriously, actually is. And you have the power now to stop her from hurting all these other people. Oh my god. That's such a power trip. Are you kidding me? I can finally get back. It's time. Yeah. Yeah.
But they're struggling to, you know, let me go. But no, not strong enough. And Kieran is now officially freaking out, and here comes Bad Thoughts Crow. Are you done pretending yet? Yeah, I mean, it fucked up. I mean, if this turns out to be actual Crow, and this whole thing has been like her.
Because
I know, but I'm just saying.
It never shows her eyes. It never shows her eyes, and that's super intentional.
No. But it's worth saying.
She shows up later.
I agree personally, but you can make a case that she pushed Kieran like this to force Kieran to confront the fact that she is a crow shot. You could make that case.
Maybe.
I don't necessarily agree with it myself.
Well,
I'm fairly certain this is Kieran's trauma at full bore. But
the other thing is when when Crow shows up later and the first thing she says is like, darling literally told me not to mess with you unless it was
which is the key thing for me.
Necessary.
Like one thing I don't doubt about Crow is that she'll keep her promises to CJ.
But she was still she still talked to, like, while it wasn't this sort of old Crow intense, whenever, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but whenever she shows up, you can just still tell that Crow does not give a fuck about anybody else. But
I mean, I think she's starting to. She cares about Sarah now. I think I would go so far as to say, not in the same way as she does about CJ, obviously, but I think she cares about Sarah, and I think she may even be starting to care about a few others as well in very small ways. But you know, baby steps.
Of course.
But yes, this is Crowyardic going full. Let's do it my way. Let's do it the way of the old Crow, just like old times. And the red eyes on Kieran, she's now fully going back to old Kieran. Crow Kieran. And
I'm gonna
like a beast. She is like a beast. She's diving around. She's more like an animal leaping through.
I'm so serious. When I saw this sequence, I seriously thought that she was gonna get fucking impaled, because like all the shards that we saw before of the glass, I thought... Because there was one giant shard left. I thought she, like, in her rage, was gonna fucking try to leap out, and it just wasn't gonna fucking work.
Note the blonde strand's completely washed out in this shot.
Yeah. And
her eyes are silver grey as well, because she's now on the other side. Do you really not remember me? You've seen me. Lindsay speaking here.
Yeah.
As they're entered like a... They're at the school, either spiritually transported.
Well, it makes me, because this is definitely an illusion. This is very... I mean, even the music, I mean, it's just very much so... If Lindsay got powers from Grandpa, it totally makes sense.
Or trained, or had powers already, and Grandpa gave us some training, or just, you know, it's anything. We don't know, but it would fit. It would fit.
I don't know. Grandpa does... I mean, Grandpa does... I'm not saying he's not...
But yes, Kieran, I don't think is paying much attention to Lindsay's words here. She's so far into rage that it's not really registering much.
She says that. She's like, she asks all these questions, and then she's like, "By the way, don't answer. I don't want to know."
She doesn't, because she's so certain of herself. Lindsay is completely certain in her goals.
I'm not like you. Yeah. Well, I mean,
she says that after just orchestrating the violent kidnapping of two girls. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that she's as bad as Kieran was. No, it's just that when you are so certain of your moral superiority, you are capable of doing truly monstrous things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Grandpa did. it has to be done for the sake of the world. What's the death of a few dozen?
Of course.
What's the death of a
If
few
it's to
hundred?
save
What's the death
everybody,
of? What's the death of an entire world that isn't ours? Like it's
fucking
whew.
yeah. There you are. That's all she's thinking about is I'm gonna fucking kill you. And of course, she's in it.
She's in full crow rage. I mean, red eyes, all the red on her outfit's picked out. Everything else is washed out. But this line shows that she does know who Kieran is. Or rather, this is a flashback, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is...
Oh, man. It's been a little bit since we've seen...
Middle school Kieran, yeah. And middle school Lindsay, for that matter. Lindsay at all.
Yeah. Still referred to as girl, by the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know...
I mean, I guess if we're... I mean, if this whole chapter is from Kieran's perspective, yeah, it's still fucking girl. It's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care who you are.
No, indeed.
Still don't.
I mean, odds are she may not fully remember anyway.
No, I'm of the opinion that she doesn't. I'm sure. I mean, this is full crow mode right here. I mean, Kieran said often that
do you remember everyone
up...
you went to school with when they were in other classes? Right? Like, do you remember that?
I mean... that's okay. The better example for me personally would be did I remember anybody that was outside of my grade? Because I could recognize the faces of everybody I went to school with if they were in my grade. But if you weren't in my grade, you might as well have not gone to school. So yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a fair comparison.
But yeah, I mean, so it's fair to say that Kieran may genuinely not remember. Like, she may genuinely not remember.
And then, of
who
course,
Lindsay is.
Kieran blames Lindsay for CJ getting fucking booted out.
Right, which is what this conversation really
his mom must
shows.
have caught them or something. It wasn't me.
But at this point, she's just angry. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, Crow Kieran doesn't care.
This was a question I asked. I don't know if this was ever on the podcast, but I always asked, like, why did Crow stick around? Did she know that he was coming back? Because
she knew that Kamigawa was going to be the convergence point.
Yeah.
So that's why she stayed. She knew that he would come back. He had to come back, but she's still pissed that he's gone. But
of course,
she knew that he would come back because this is the place where the convergence was going to happen. Although she didn't know that as certainly as she might pretend, but she says at one point that she couldn't be sure, so she made her bet and gambled on it, and it was the best gamble she had, so she didn't really have a choice but to stay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this shows that Crow Kieran literally almost killed Lindsay. No jokes, no like, oh, it was just bullying. No, that was actually nearly murder.
Yeah.
So
she literally says it was almost too late.
It's a miracle the doctors accomplished what they did. And Kieran just doesn't care.
While I know that Kieran's in fucking fight mode, it's just
cold rage,
so
pure cold rage mode. Like, she's so disconnected from her emotions right now. It would take CJ or maybe Sarah to break through this.
I was gonna say maybe Sarah too. Yeah.
But she doesn't care right now. This isn't relevant to Kieran right now. She wants her sisters back. Where the fuck are my sisters?
Yeah, remember what was just said? We're not doing this Kieran's way anymore. We're doing this Crow's way. And Crow's way, she does not give a fuck about anything at all.
And Kieran's just wish she couldn't. Wish she couldn't speak. I just
go
don't
ahead
care.
and laugh. It's all a joke to you. No
Ironically, Kieran,
Kieran,
like,
oh well, that's really funny. Now Lindsay actually has her name, huh?
Yeah. Nothing matters except you and him.
Yes.
Because Lindsay, it's easy to forget Lindsay had an obsession with CJ even back then. She stalked him, basically. She was stalking him a lot of the time with her powers. She lost her memories of that day and that week and that entire quarter, which makes me question how she knew exactly what happened and who was responsible. Who told her that?
It's gotta be, Grandpa's just gotta have restored some part of her memory, and
just told her that's what happened, and it fit with her preconceptions.
Well, Grandpa does say later that he's the one that's been he's been able to observe and stuff like that. So of course he's been around since all that happened.
Oh yeah, no, he's been around all the time.
But Well, she says she lost her memories, and then she goes,
The
"But
day that
not
week and that
anymore.
entire
I know exactly what you are." So she's got to have gotten a Mac, not
yeah,
just
but
being
she,
told.
but the believing that and it being true are two different things. I mean, I'm willing to bet it's more likely that she does remember now, but I'm not going to put like,
Yeah.
or I'm
I
not
mean,
going
you're
to
right.
make.
This could be a total manipulation by Grandpa,
Yeah.
100%. And it's, I mean, not that I doubt that this actually happened. Maybe some details were changed. Who knows? But probably not. I'm more willing to bet that.
I mean, again, okay. Interesting note here. You see that massive blaze in the background,
Yeah.
like a blaze of white tinged in red. Where have we seen that before?
The what would have been, I don't know what chapter it was, but it was right after Uxo.
Yeah, even no. Well, it's the opening of 45. The thing that Kieran was forced to kept seeing in her dreams and was forced to
That's
confront.
that's what I was talking about.
It's a vast blaze, a core of rage and anger. Kieran, you have no idea what kind of monster it could be. And here we go.
Rat point.
Blazing red eyes, crow power corona in the background. I'm going to pull the rest of your fucking brains out and feed them to you. Like, it's completely flipped.
And what's crazy,
Lindsay was looking for
still.
Lindsay is still looking for a reaction. You have to bear in mind she believes herself righteous, and look at me calling out all
how
of
wrong
this
you are, and she's like, I don't care, you're gonna die. They're like, but wait, why don't you see how wrong you are? And she's like,
right,
come on,
yeah,
please.
absolutely,
yeah.
She's really into the narrative here of, you know, I'm saving people. I'm gonna help. I'm the hero. I am the hero of this story.
Mm-hmm.
When it's pretty clear this is less about justice and more about revenge.
There are good people in this world. People who showed me
my true potential, and I would gladly spend what's left of my life. See, that line makes me wonder if she's on some kind of time limit.
She says,
what's left of my life. Like, it's not like I would spend the rest of my life. It's what's left of my life. So who wants to bet that this, she got her powers, she got some kind of spiritual power boost, but it comes at a price.
Nothing like selling your life force to get a little bit of a...
I mean, how powerful is Grandpa now? He's an other side entity for all intents and purposes.
We're about to get a good perspective here in a little bit when he shows up. He does some stuff that I thought, interesting.
Yeah. Kieran now giving some kind of response, but it's definitely not what Lindsay is looking for. Yeah, I'm surprised anyone can stand your stench for long enough to feel sorry for you. Don't worry, I'll spend your life for you. Like, Kieran is just so far gone now. Like, this
fucking... Okay, listen, I know Kieran's
It's cold. It's brutal. But
it's also...
You know who else is like that? You know who else is like that, if with a bit more flowery words? Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Crow is like
I've never been a denier of the Kieran Crow shark thing.
No, I'm speaking for the audience. Don't worry. I know you're...
It makes sense, even if I wish it wasn't true. It makes sense, and I'm like,
yeah. I mean, Seven talked about it the other day that he intellectually accepts and acknowledges that yes, Kieran's
I don't have to like it though.
But emotionally, no, he rejects this. I mean, I can't blame him for it. It's a hard thing.
Everybody needs a happy ending, and Kieran needs one. Of course, it's not going to happen, probably, but who knows?
Not easily, at least. But yes, Kieran's now just attacking and attacking and attacking.
That's a good line, though. Don't worry, I'll spend your life for you. Don't cry whenever you're worth a few cents, though. Ooh, I don't know.
I am not a
coming
victim.
Out with the bangers.
Yes, Lindsay, I am not weak anymore. I am not a victim. But note the washed out coloring. That's classic Grandpa power colors, because that's his thing. It's the monochrome black and white.
Yeah, the gray eyes here, the wet and gray eyes. Yeah, I was noticing that whenever she was popping around trying to talk to Kieran.
Also, Tsukiko eyes are often like that, which lends to the theory that we'll be talking about a little bit in the future of how Grandpa is gaining some of these powers, and also knows what's going on.
It seems like, okay. Well, you're right. Let's stay on track here. We'll talk about that whenever he shows up.
But yes, this is where we start to see Lindsay genuinely has some powers. It's not just a bit of sorcery. She has a transformation, which means Fae, most likely. Some kind of Fae guess. Your return to whatever hell you came from, Kroyarek. It's interesting that she calls her Kroyarek here. She doesn't call her Kieran. She doesn't call her anything else.
And she I would like to point out that she actually says crow correctly here. Like, Unlike her companion, who just called
Well,
her like
I would be willing to.
CROW.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that Shrike, her companion, is not spiritually aware and just wants to fight.
Yeah,
She
I would say that
strikes me as very much a battle junkie or kill junkie, and she's just
brain, not a lot of being used there.
right. But obviously, Lindsay is at least partially aware of what's going
Lindsay,
on.
the main
Oh,
character.
note the
clearly.
last name, Lindsay Akiyama.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna.
There's another.
If there's a connection that you're gonna have to remind me, I suck. At
There's
naming
another
names.
Akiyama who gets mentioned
In
elsewhere.
Tropicali, or
Yes, and also in this one, she's mentioned as one of the 3 people who are involved in Sonya Takahashi and Naomi's company that was bought out by Grandpa.
Well, it tracks.
I think. That was the connection I made at the time, but I'm kind of doubting myself now.
There's when it comes to specific points of information like that, it really makes me wish I fucking wrote shit down, but I don't.
Yeah, same. I mean, well,
that's super specific.
I do, but not details to that level. I'm sure someone like or Nennius or Ultima will happily correct us. But yes, this is she now appears outside the school proper, where she apparently, she's made away.'s going to go up to. It's interesting. She goes directly there. She doesn't prevaricate.
There's no beating around the bush here. It's straight up.
It's almost like she knows where to go.
Well, I mean, the lights. I mean, the lights to turn on, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But the lack of expression on Kieran's face through this whole thing, beyond just when she gets angrier.
I don't know if it could just be a thing with lighting, but I swear every single time that during this chapter, whenever she's in this mode, the screen is just a shade bit darker, and you definitely notice it whenever it releases and it becomes a little bit lighter. I think it'll.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree completely.
And then
really expect me to fall for that. Wait. And then 2 lying down. The moment of panic here from Kieran, I think, just a brief one, almost breaks through her cold rage.
A little bit. Seems to spring, just to...
that's what she's waiting. She's expecting this. She's expecting this to turn into a trap. They're asleep. The fuck is this? I won't hurt them because I am not you. Oof. It's just another manipulation of Kieran, or an attempt to. Another attempt to. Yeah. Kieran doesn't get it. What's the point? Wasn't I the one they want? Who else? And then it clicks.
Yep.
She doesn't just want Kieran. She wants CJ. What she wants with CJ, we're not 100% clear on. Maybe she wants to kill him. Maybe she wants it to fuck him. We don't know.
We don't know.
But yes, Jamie being quite comfortable in just her undies with him.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And CJ literally passed out from the intensity of his extraction by Tsukiko. But it's, both Jamie and Matoy reassuring each other. Not really how she was hoping for her date to end. Poor Jamie.
Yeah.
You lead a charmed life, Jamie. Yeah, see, Matoy makes a fair point. Maybe this could help him more. Having to only do it once, if however intense, would be.
Yeah, but I mean, would like to point out you're also knocking out Sarah and Kieran for.
Well, yeah, but they don't know that yet, do they? They don't know that
That's
yet.
Fair. No, that's fair.
And it's interesting that Matoy is willing to volunteer at this point. Like, she doesn't even make a deal out of it, or even really blush. She's just.
I don't doubt that she won't participate, but she said that twice now, and it just makes me laugh because it hasn't happened yet. She's like, I'm ready for it, and it's not gonna.
Because she still. I don't think Jamie would want her to do it until it's something she actually openly wants to do, rather than something she just feels like she needs to do as a maid. Because that's the thing. As much as Mayu and Mikan play up the whole we're here to service you, master type shit, they have sex with CJ because they want to have sex with CJ.
Yeah,
it's not that's the most important element for them. It's not
need, like we said last chapter, Matoy date needs to happen.
Matoy date does need to happen.
Matoy date needs to happen. Hey, sleepyhead, can you hear me?
Jimmy, what happened? I think I blew your mind. Oh, Jamie. Great, great pun. Your phone keeps going off. And look at that, respecting his privacy like that. Didn't even look.
Hello.
And this is where it goes.
Oh my
and
god,
CJ,
everything sucks.
this is yeah, Senpai. Thank God they took them. This is where things start to get really fucking dissonant, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, they do.
The punk girl and I think it was Lindsay. This is where if you start paying attention, this character does not talk like Ashley. Ashley doesn't. It's not. It just becomes increasingly dissonant as you go. See that double?
Yeah, the right.
She's fine, I think. Kind of collapsed on the floor for no reason. Drove Kieran crazy too. Shit. That's Jamie making the connection. I don't know. They ran off towards the school. Like it's two separate, like an echo.
Mm-hmm.
Which is obviously what CJ is hearing. So that's CJ on some level aware that something's.
What? What? I said I don't know. Must be an echo or something. Yeah. We're on our way.
Tsukiko?
Are you there? You just got out of the elevator. Keep going. So repeats the exact same thing that she said earlier, supposedly.
Yeah.
And after that, this green-haired chick, Lindsay, popped through the window. The bike is still fucking.
Go back one. Go back one.
Which one?
Go back a bit. One more. Through the window. Sorry, I thought it said my window. Oh yeah, pop through the window. Keep going.
Yeah.
Bike is still fucking here. It's like they knew Kieran had powers.
Yeah.
Get Mako and me, and yeah, you know, girl, maids doing what the maids do. And Matoi making the right call to bring Kane in as well.
Yep, bring in the fucking assassins real quick.
What could they know? CJ asking the pertinent questions.
Beats me.
There we go. Here's
Lindsay
this.
was always a weird stalker type, wasn't she?
Ash wouldn't know that. Ash
know.
wouldn't know that. So
I know
how. I know how. Blah, blah, blah. Lindsay, didn't Kieran used to bully the shit out of her? Yeah. I kind of get it. But you said there was another girl with green hair. Yeah, there was. Tall, fit, way stronger than she looked. Gene mods. Or possibly some kind of spiritual boost,
Something
who knows?
about to happen here I just find super interesting. Because when I first saw this, I thought, because she literally just mentioned it, that it was, of course, Tsukiko. But
here's a little bit of interference now. I should go with Matoi to get the car.
Oh my god, is it going to keep doing that? Okay, I need to skip ahead.
It will keep doing it until you go past it. Yes, it will. But that's, as we're about to see, that's someone inserting a thought into Jamie's head, which is very alarming.
Yeah.
That can be done.
Well, what I find it interesting is, because I was like, there's no, well, to be fair, I'll give myself a little credit here. Whenever that happened, I thought, Tsukiko has never done that before. She's always appeared as, I know it wasn't, but if you were just following along and hadn't played ahead, Jamie literally goes, Tsukiko, I won't let you mess with what the fuck's going on right now. And then immediately gets this like, oh, I should go with Matoi to go get the car. Tsukiko showed up that way. She's only showed up through...
Well, Tsukiko doesn't directly manipulate people.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that. It's not her style.
Who does? Well, there's only one man that can fit that description, and he's been dead
Did
for
you notice
years.
anything else? And then we get more of the dissonance. Besides Kieran disappearing through the window and Sarah coming her brains out? How the hell did they do that? That may have been my fault.
What?
What?
No, I don't even want to know. Which...
Ashley would absolutely want to know.
Well, no, actually, I do think this is her, because I think she's freaking out after this next statement.
I mean, fair enough. But I still maintain that Ashley
about,
would want to know. If she wasn't panicking, she would still want to know.
I think you're right. If she wasn't panicking.
But yes, Ashley, I couldn't do anything. This isn't your fault. I should be stronger. I should have done something. Frustration. There we go. That's quite enough of that.
Imagine talking. Steve's like, yeah, that,
I mean, you're like, yeah, I guess.
I do remember something about those two. You do?
You do?
It's funny.
Funny.
The other three weren't.
Were much easier to track. Here it is. This is where it really becomes obvious. Violet and Gold barely hid their presence, as if challenging the other.
Yeah, and Ashley, or you really.
What the hell are you talking about? And CJ clicks. I think starts to click now. Even Amber was discernible after witnessing her power. But blue, or is it green? I could never trace it to a source. I realized after her tampering, its power must be even more shattered than the others. Like talking about Crow.
Yeah, probably talking about Crow there.
Strewn amongst two, perhaps your three hosts.
Yeah, because we find out later, but Kay would have, because she made the deal with Crows for that, or not. Grandpa did.
Yeah. Ash? Now I have a better understanding of its nature. What did you call her? Heb?
What is it, Rayze?
Is it Heb or is it Hebe?
I don't know. Some angry man will come yell at me in DMs later, I'm sure.
I'm sure. She is most fascinating. And here's our boy.
And
guess who's back?
She can do
back
with
in
electricity. You. Wait a minute. Don't.
I mean you. Yeah, this is the first. Grandpa's back, ladies and gentlemen. First time we've seen him properly. That wasn't a flashback.
Yes, Grandpa's not the main villain.
Not well.
What chapter are we on right now?
But yes, Grandpa is here trying to make some kind of at least a mutual interest arrangement.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's like. Yeah, okay, so what I was saying earlier, because you were like, how powerful is Grandpa now? And he'll mention it earlier that he's pretty much like just a spirit on the other side at this point. But he's like, don't take my word for it. Gold has such an interesting relationship with entropy. It's almost like she can control time in an area for short periods. My imitation is nowhere near as powerful. Just
he's
power.
He's doing. The thing is, this is a very smart play to make. He's basically revealing a weakness and saying that you have the power to break them anytime you want. It's a good thing to do when you're coming at someone from a position where you know that they have an issue.
I do find it interesting that he's able to imitate it, even as he says it's not nearly as powerful. Because
poor Circa Crow.
Well, yes, but yes, you're right. But comparing Crow and Grandpa, very different. Crow, I mean, at least in my mind, because Crow was like.
Yeah, but it's worth noting
chosen one. I mean, who knows what kind of special privileges you get with that.
It's absolutely worth noting that Grandpa stole power from the goddesses, tiny slivers, even before his plan. Mm-hmm. So he could probably use that in some respects to at least mimic them somewhat.
Sure.
Similar to how
Tsukiko can kind of that you have to, I mean, but you don't think that you have to have individual shards of that goddess to mimic their power. Crow probably doesn't.
No. I don't think you do. I'm just saying it probably makes it easier.
Yeah, that's fair.
CJ, wrong foot.
Yeah.
She will have noticed my deception already. We don't have long.
You've murdered thousands of innocent people, and you tried to kill every single person I hold dear. You already told me I'm just some world-ending apocalypse waiting to happen, and now, after all that, you're trying to say sorry? And he's like, "Oh no, you
are an apocalypse waiting to happen." That's not changed. It's still the same. The world will be destroyed if we don't do something about it.
But I don't think it's
your fault anymore. Oh, totally different thing, Grandpa. Thank you.
Well, I mean,
he's still a narcissist down to his core. It's not that I was wrong. It's just that, I got the cause wrong. It's not personal, my guy.
Well, it's like okay, I didn't have all the details. I was still right, but So you don't know. So you didn't know. Oh no. Anyway, so moving on. That's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here. Ask you to help save everyone you've ever loved. He knows how to appeal to CJ.
And then immediate. You are going to...
And apparently this moment right here is the official point of no return, according to Anon. Right here, this moment, this conversation with Grandpa is the official point of no return.
Grandpa, I do like this conversation he has with Grandpa because it brings up some.
Not in the distant future, not at the end of cold old age, not even years. Soon. When you do, the entire human race will be wiped out. Do you want
Because
to know what I've been doing since our last encounter? This is where Grandpa just talks about what he's been up to since.
he's made a because he's gonna make a really good point of like in the current state that the goddesses are in. Whenever he mentions what's gonna happen, it makes sense. Almost he telling at least me, like him explaining to CJ or us the audience like what's gonna happen, or at least what he thinks is gonna happen. It was always one of those things like, oh, that's what I assumed what was gonna happen. Now we're just getting straight up told that yeah, this is what's gonna happen if CJ dies. So yeah, but this also part.
If CJ dies and the shards don't die with him is the key element.
Yeah, observing, wandering.
So yes, Grandpa went looking around. He traveled to the other side. Now he wasn't tied to any specific plan, and he didn't have. Yeah, he's now has an infinite amount of time. He can't die, so he went to try and figure shit out. I guess studying the other side, all the other worlds he could connect to.
I left. Yeah, so I am but a part of the other side.
Part of the other side. Yeah, he's basically fully accepting he's not human.
I love that the other side is represented by an ocean. That's just a little. That's not relevant, but I fucking love it.
It's a very powerful motif.
Yeah, it is wonderful because how deep does the
I
ocean
soared
go,
between realities,
Rayze?
following the colors. I found that again, color coming into it very important, connecting directly to the goddesses already, because that's what they are. They are their colors. And their colors are them.
He makes such a good point here because he's like. Here, I want to touch on this, but he's like, he's seen tons of different worlds, all end and continue, and all sorts of stuff.
And he talks about how every time CJ comes in or someone similar, it's he's seen it now play out many more times than he did previously. So he's basically come to understand that CJ doesn't cause the apocalypse by action. He causes the apocalypses by dying.
Yes. Which is super interesting, of course, but the reason that he gives, if of course we're to believe Grandpa, again,
which is a big if.
Well,
even if Grandpa thinks he's being accurate and truthful,
it's not like I think Grandpa's lying. It's just one of those things where we've had several instances of Grandpa being like, no, this is what's happening, and he's been wrong.
I mean, Kay says it himself. He's a man who's so used to being in control that he doesn't cope well with the idea of not being in control.
Yeah.
So he tends to be very certain about things because he needs to feel in control.
No, and he's like,
so no CJ, and he calls him CJ. Interestingly, he actually uses CJ's name.
Yeah.
CJ, I don't want to kill you. I wish I could save you, but I can't. You are going to die soon, months maybe. And when you do, our world will come undone. Really laying out the stakes here. And CJ, it's no surprise on CJ's face there, the sort of shock and that fuck me. But now, but CJ, to his credit, gets down to business. He's saying you were doomed. There's nothing we can do. I don't buy that shit, he says implicitly.
Yeah.
No, not at all. They require your cooperation, which is why I've gone to such lengths to meet with you and you alone. Does not want Tsukiko there at all.
Of course, I mean, he's again, we make fun of Grandpa for fucking up when he does, but he is very smart. He is very smart. He
is very smart. But it also worth noting is that Crow would have absolutely intervened if she was there. So odds are he also arranged for Crow to be distracted as well. So it could be Crow that he refers to. But there's an interesting bit about Grandpa and Crow just coming up now.
There's a really good. So I do still think that Bad Thoughts Crow is Bad Thoughts Crow and it's not regular Crow. However, it would not shock me to think that, by the way, Grandpa did this whole thing with Kieran to try and get Crow's attention, because if Crow's not interacting with Kieran at the current moment, but focused on her and her rampage because she's using her power,
and because she's connected to her still.
Yeah, like makes sense that. Oh, so now we get rid of Tsukiko and Crow at the exact same time that I need to talk to him for even just a brief second. Does seem to be a grandfather plan that he was like, yeah, so
he's a very clever man. Like ignoring like the obvious massive holes in his plan and his mentality, he pulled off an incredible thing. He did manage to create Tsukiko. Like let's not lowball this. His plan created Tsukiko,
which is super interesting to say, because he says this later, or I don't know when he says this, but he says she was a lot weaker than I fucking thought she would be. I'm gonna be so
But I
serious
think that was
with
more
you.
a case of he didn't understand how strong the goddesses were, than
Mhm.
she being weaker than his design. It was more that like he just did not understand the true scale of the entities he's dealing with, which is something that's very much been shown
Yeah.
repeatedly.
I mean, it's like comparing a lake to a fucking, the ocean. It's like, okay, cool.
Way more than that even. Like it's like one planet in a universe. Like when you're basically an infinite being,
Yeah.
the idea that you can pull a thread and unravel that infinite being from one thread is a bit of a joke.
Well, he mentions this. I do want to mention now before I forget, because he's gonna eventually say like the commonality of like which shards show up where. And he says that like some shards, sure, have two. Sometimes there's two. It's mainly amber. Some, and then gold's next, and then violet shows up like 10% of the time. He literally says that. But
Well, yeah,
like,
there's a lot to
all
say about
four.
that.
But what's wild is he says earlier, he's like, looking back on our world, it's just like you can see all the myriad of colors, and I'm like, if there's anything else in the other side looking, like CJ's world is just a hot spot for what the fuck is going on
It's
over
a giant
here.
beacon of spiritual event.
Right. That's what I don't know. We haven't got any indication that that's an issue, but having that information and knowing that there's other entities out there that aren't affiliated with the goddesses or aren't the goddesses themselves is very interesting. I mean, who fucking
Yeah, we've
knows
already
how
had the
many
Mara pop up,
grandpas?
but yeah.
Oh, well, that was the thing because I do agree that Bad Thoughts Crow is just Bad Thoughts Crow, but whenever I first played it, I was like, I wonder if this is like a Mara totally feeding on the fucking pain and just all the fucking negative emotion that's been generated with Kieran and her mom and stuff like that. And I was like, because it's not hard to figure out, like, to come down to this world from the other side and be like, oh, well, this is fucking, this is juicy, and to manipulate it to be worse.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think so.
Possible.
Again,
I think
so.
most spiritual entities, from what we've gathered, would avoid the attention of the goddesses because they can't take them on. Like, also was an exception because of the situation she was in, and she is the weakest of the four by far.
They've always
and bear in mind that the Mara's plan took a ridiculously long time to play out.
Yeah.
They were gathering the broken souls from Orxo's failed attempts for a very long time to power the entity that Hector was piloting.
They're everywhere, Rayze. Under every single shadow is a Mara.
I mean, maybe. But yes, Grandpa, let's move forward. Otherwise, have you felt the chains loosen? In all truth, my nemesis has been correct about one thing. You are different. Nemesis, I believe, referring to Crow. There.
Yeah, he's referring to Crow because nobody else refers to CJ as "you're different." I don't believe. Even the goddesses thought he was just.
I mean, Calpo does at the end, but and Orxo does, but but not quite like this. One ring is the everlasting, and this is such an important sequence, as you mentioned earlier. One ring is the everlasting, unchanging rule. Two was an exception, seen with my own eyes a handful of times. A few grains of sand amongst all the world's beaches. Which is
three, impossible.
Possible. Four. Ridiculous notion that I just had to make it 5.
Just hilarious.
It's nature plays its own joke. Which, if you go back to that, I do wonder if nature plays his own jokes. Is maybe Grandpa showing a little bit of self-awareness that he's some way being manipulated as well at that time. But that's just maybe just a,
no. I was for a second. I was like, "What?" No, I get what you mean when you say that.
Because Tsukiko is such a necessary solution to the problem of the goddesses and CJ that one is left to question whether or not it's coincidence that it manifests that she manifests as she does. Such a perfect response to the problem. Enough, said CJ. That attack on Kieran's family, was that you? Indeed, they have a purpose to serve. Timing their actions with Tsukiko's took some coordination. This is, again, took some coordination. Though, did you really think I'd put my own granddaughters in any more danger than I have to? I actually believe him here a little bit. he's shown that he does care about his
again,
bloodline.
This is one of the things of having a character that's been like, I don't think, again, you can totally correct me here, I don't think Grandpa has ever been like outright blatantly lying. He's just been wrong. So
he's lied a couple of times, but usually just like in very like short-term things. Usually, like he lies to the two Jamie's dad a bit and stuff like that. It's mostly by deflection and omission rather than actual outright lies.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As I feel like he hasn't directly been like, no.
Well, he probably thinks direct lies are beneath him. He doesn't need to. He's smarter than that.
Sure. I mean, I'm willing to say that that's probably the case with Grandpa.
Narcissism is a hell of a drug.
It's crazy.
Indeed, they are crucial to our success. Yeah,
yeah, of
why
course,
the hell
he
would
knows...
you involve anyone else?
Yeah, well,
they're already involved, CJ, my guy. I hate to agree with Hayato here, but they're already involved just by being what they are in the same way that
even if they weren't related to Grandpa, he would still be like, yeah, well, we need them. I can't get rid of them.
I mean, they're hebbish. They're heap shards. They're heap shards. Like exactly. That's it. Like yours was. You have changed. No, it's a necessary hardship. Allow me to explain. Here we go. Violet, the stream you called Kione. Attractive force, a wild beast, perhaps the unwilling executioner. Interesting that he says that. The unwilling executioner. Now that we know more about her, that actually does fit.
I was gonna say that's pretty fucking accurate. I would
like she is as insane as she is, she doesn't take any pleasure in what she does.
Mm-hmm.
She remains shackled, though do not be fooled by her absence. It is which is kind of concerning. So that
yes, which had been something I had mentioned before, which is we did not have a clear resolution like we did with
even more to the point. Even more to the point, Kione having intent in the way that Grandpa highlights here implies that she is actually thinking. She's not just acting on bestial instinct anymore.
Yeah. Something
has changed there. Restraint isn't exactly something Kione is hugely noted for. Yeah, she waited before she manifested for the right moment, but yes, Carpo.
I can't wait until he mentions this because this is he makes a really good point. When you have all three, which is going to be, all three of the goddesses that have shown up, and then nowhere else in the universe has, Hebe showed up at all, green, blue.
Mm-hmm.
He says,
I mean, her shards do, but herself, no.
Yeah.
Purposeful unmaking, slightly more mind than a handmate, but of equal chaos. Yes, her defeat was the first major victory humanity has achieved against these entities.
Again,
that's a statement.
I know, but we just mentioned it, but that Carpo was the first victory, and that Kione being subdued.
First major victory, yeah. I mean, I assume Kione probably has been defeated in other places by other spiritual beings from those worlds.
I feel like it's not hard. I feel like it depends on the shard's power.
Karpa herself says that Kione's manifestation was weak and barely stronger than her own shard in a lot of ways, because she rushed things so much. Like her manifestation was not a strong one, which is why, in many respects, Vic doesn't have the raw power that Leia does.
No,
Vic has technique and
because
stuff like
of her
that.
mom.
Because of her mom and the family and her aunt and the family history, but she doesn't have the raw power that Leia does because of how Carpo did what she did. Yeah, I mean, that's right. Shackling Kione prevented a murder, which kind of leads to something I've talked about a little bit in the chats. Kione may well have the lowest body count of all of the goddesses. Like, as horrific as what she does is, she goes in, kills her shard, kills the CJ shard, absorbs them into her crucible, and leaves.
Yeah, but doesn't that doom the world? That does not. Well,
we don't know.
I was under the impression that that also ends the world eventually. Like, I thought it.
We don't know. We don't know how that works out. I don't think so, but maybe.
No, I mean,
And then
not a
Amber.
lot. Again, missing
Oxo.
details.
Yeah, we simply don't have enough information. Her tendrils were well. See, it's interesting that Grandpa is now out and out saying that, in many respects, it's likely that Oxo was the most prolific goddess. That she was the one present in the most number of worlds. At least that's what I'm getting by implication here. But
Well,
she just worked in
yeah,
such a distant,
mentions
camouflaged way.
that
Yeah.
she actually shows up the most, which is super interesting because I thought
Once you know what to look for, but that's the thing. Her tendrils are well counted. Remember, she operates at such a distance that you probably wouldn't be able to know that she was doing it 9 times out of 10 unless you had knowledge that that's how she operates.
probably why most worlds, like, so it doesn't seem like whenever Uxo's plan fails, she wants to kill everything and restart. It just doesn't work, right? Is kind of what she said whenever she was talking. Like, I don't understand why this one worked. All the other times it just failed. And then we never hear any, like, other than what happened to Hector's world originally. Because this might be a key here. I can't remember. Why did it go nuts?
Because, well, we don't actually know the hard details of why it failed. We just know that it failed, and then she emerged into that world through her.
Unless that's the okay, let's give it. That could be what happens if she fails. If it doesn't work, she manifests, and then it just ends the world. So maybe she does end up killing.
Maybe not. Yeah, we don't know. But remember, we know that she took power from the human souls that were connected through the karmic web that she manipulated.
Yeah. My reason in saying that would be like, so that's why all other worlds are mainly normal, is because if you have Uxo as your shard plus CJ shard, it's not going to be really crazy because Uxo just has a really long plan that probably won't work, and then it doesn't work and nothing happens.
Yeah. And then there are other times, and the reason she flees from the others is that she doesn't do direct conflict. So
yeah,
the few times that the others have noticed her,
smartest goddess in the fucking.
Well, and also just more to the point, I would be willing to bet there have been plenty of times where the others didn't notice her, but she noticed them, or because she says at one point in the dialogue with CJ, she didn't know why they kept dying, and I would be willing to wager most of them were probably killed by Carpo and Kione.
Well, he does. I mean, no, that's a fair point. I wonder if that's the case, what she mentions by that, because he's going to mention that there's, like, there will always be one extra ring with CJ, like one, and it's usually Uxo, then Carpo, then Kione.
Well, I mean, I don't think Orxo is present at all CJ shard manifestations.
No. I don't think so either, but he said the majority. So if it's a bunch of single shards, I think you're right. But who knows what's killing CJ shards if it's not the goddesses?
Well, this is a theory I'll be getting into that I have that we'll get into in a minute once we do the next bit.
Okay.
So I have a theory about that.
Okay.
But Confronter, you did.
He never mentions. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
But no, it's just showing that he acknowledges Orxo's success. That the success with Orxo was at least bought us time.
Because even though Grandpa said that CJ is going to die, he doesn't say how he's going to die.
He doesn't know specifics. He knows that he dies. And,
you're going to die. Don't know how, but it keeps happening all the time. Yeah. So.
All in orbit of our own celestial being now. Yes.
I find that, because that's Tsukiko, I find it very interesting that that's the colors being represented, but maybe it's just...
Well, remember Tsukiko she only has the power to do this because she draws power from CJ. She's the moon reflecting him. So, if you look at that image, it's almost like the reverse of an eclipse. It's the sun superimposed on a moon. It's kind of like a reverse eclipse.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I find it interesting.
She should be hardly a match for any one of these, but she binds 3 in perfect equilibrium. Little bit of an overestimation, because Tsukiko herself says it's difficult.
Yeah.
And it's not in equilibrium until she gets the set, but okay, Grandpa.
So they eat. So like, Kione and Uxo are evening each other out. So she's mainly having to deal with
Carpo's power.
Yeah. Which, again, not a great one to be wrapping your hands around.
Yeah. Yes, feel smug about it. It's because of you. See, Grandpa just projecting there so much.
Yeah.
He thinks that CJ would feel smug about it. Like, no, that's not how CJ works at all. But that's how he would feel in that position, and it doesn't really occur to Grandpa that CJ wouldn't feel that he wouldn't feel the same way he would feel. She needs your power to hold them in balance.
Yep.
You mirror each other, both parallel and perpendicular in all ways. It's so literally the perfect yin-yang thing, as has been established for them since the very beginning of Tsukiko and CJB together in Bound. Together, you have the power to stop them. One last obstacle remains, and the power of this nightmare will be ours. Nightmare. Interestingly, calls her the nightmare. Humanities. Interesting that she shows us just green there as well. It's not that simple, is it?
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, there's no blue there. It's just green.
Well, I'm still, well, I don't know. This is an older theory. I'm still of the opinion that blue is not originally what her color was.
Maybe. We'll see. Yes. Yeah, yes. We haven't been able to find her. That's the big problem we've had. No one's been able to find her.
No.
We tried, but I couldn't get my connection with Ashley to work. And this is where we get confirmation that Ash, on her own, the reason she can't use her powers is that she's... It's very funny, Anon. It wouldn't have happened off screen. Wouldn't have happened off screen if it had.
Wouldn't have happened off screen if it had. But,
no,
I mean,
no.
again, this is just...
But we get confirmation that Misaki, that Ashley was missing her other half, and she can't manifest her powers easily or properly without it. Crow bypassed that very temporarily, but it wasn't...
Well, no, because Kieran was there, wasn't she? With Misaki?
Not at that point.
Wait, during the car?
Yes, Kieran was there. No, she got booped out, didn't she? Along with
we're gonna have to go back. I don't remember.
And even if she was there, it wouldn't necessarily matter because she wasn't consciously trying to channel powers together.
Yeah.
Misaki would have been just watching at night. Probably from inside Kieran.
Yeah. You're probably right. It probably was just Crow feeding her power and then her just using what...
Well, Crow says as much. Crow says that while Hebe's influence on Ashley meant that she couldn't use her really in her plans, there was still a connection there with her influence. It was just enough to give her the power boost she needed to manifest a basic red ring and therefore gain just enough power to do what she did.
Grandfather being like...
In all my travels in the generations I spent amongst the other realms, says Grandpa, would you like to know how many blue-green shards I found? 0. Amber had the most, followed closely by gold. Violet made up about 10. There's a bias in that number that a lot of others I discussed in the chat, is that Violet made up 10% of all ringed individuals. We think that that's kind of a bit of a false number because of how Keone operates. She goes in, kills, and leaves. So odds are there are plenty of worlds that he never noticed.
Or
by the time he would notice, it was... So that's probably not a true reflection of how many. So, Keone's MO is very much in and out. She doesn't take long with her plans like the others do. So
yeah. No, that's a fair thing to point out.
Yes. Where that are... No, this is just... Grandpa.
Were that our only evidence, I would have doubted that a fourth entity existed at all. Yep, but it was clearly there.
So, what we've learned is that no other world that he's witnessed, although that doesn't mean no other worlds at all, but no other world he's witnessed has Hebe shards, which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that she wasn't giving out her power to anything, but
yeah.
I think when Crow was talking about it, she had made it seem like Crow had seen other blue-green shards, and that the ones that she had seen were always really weak.
Crow is really old and probably has only seen a few.
Again,
this links to the theory I have, which I'll get into in a little bit. This links to the theory I have, so we'll get into it a little bit. Once we grab this section, we have many shards. Feel that? Our time here. That sound effect in the background being a half-soul scream is interesting.
When Tsukiko goes around on the other side, she's carrying all the fucking half-souls that she absorbed.
No, I think so.
Everybody looks at the moon in horror because it's made out of fucking half-souls. Oh my god.
Luckily, we know that she just processed and freed them. Don't worry.
I know.
It's not as dark as all that we know.
What it could be.
Dude, we can't rule it out. Dark Side of the Moon, my bro. Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh my god,
it's not just an album. By whatever mechanism, her power was split amongst many pieces so small they're nearly imperceptible. If that was a plan, holy shit, does that make things spicy. By who? I have my suspicions.
Yeah.
Crow. A single teardrop given cancerous form. He really doesn't like Crow.
Fucking knew I liked Grandpa. No.
Wow, Grandpa and Seven are on the same side.
Oh my god. Fucking. It all makes sense now.
Unlikely allies. But no, carry on. Yes, that thing. Bear in mind, he doesn't show this level of vitriol towards anyone else in this entire conversation.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm sure he I mean, look, it's a lot of it's Grandpa's fault. For meddling with.
And he in turn blames her because,
but,
you know.
But of course, I mean, it's not like Crow.
It can't be his fault. It's got to be someone else's fault.
Well, I mean, hold on. Let's. I mean, it's not like Crow didn't do anything. I mean, she blatantly fucking manipulated him.
Yeah, but only to get the shard, access to the shard she wanted. Everything else he did on his own terms. Like messing with the other side, right. Studying the goddesses. That whole plan, that was him.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have anything directly to do with that at all. She watched.
Hey, you want immortality, but I'm not going to give it to you. You already have it, pussy.
Dumb bitch.
You fucking idiot.
Ashley is the vessel nearly empty. Misaki is the largest fragment, as you've no doubt realized. Which is an interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
So Ashley is an empty cup, and Misaki is the that which should go in the cup, basically.
So what I'm hearing is... No, I'm just kidding.
But there are more. We're out of time. You failed because you only have one of her shards. Now you have two. You need more. You need all the shards. Yeah. Kei Mitamura was an original host. That power was scattered amongst her descendants. My grandchildren. I have a feeling Kieran's siblings will be far more willing to help after tonight. You have to bind this one last color before it's too late. If you die before we finish, Tsukika will be torn apart and our world will end. Do you understand why yet? It won't be some vague doom.
I fucking love this.
It will be them.
Which, again, is
your lovers.
The thing that I said earlier, which was like, wow, being told this is like being told something that was clearly in front of your face. That's like, oh, that totally makes fucking sense.
Yep. And then CJ is kind of low. I feel like deep down he's known this, even if not.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the thing. It's like, Grandpa saying this is not some big shock. I mean, he's telling us straight up. We could have absolutely fucking gathered that. Like, we could have guessed that that's probably.
Well, we knew the potential existed, but we didn't know that it was a certainty in this way.
Yeah.
Across every world and every incarnation, the death of the Ring's beloved drives them into the purest mania. I mean, it's an echo of that grief, right, that they had in the first place that led to this whole process. They come exact. So yeah, I mean, if he dies, Leia and Vic will go postal, and even sweet Teresa. I mean, and it makes sense. Like it's it's literally repeating the cycle of the shattering.
Which we have no details to what was
again. We have
the
very
shattering,
few, yeah.
But it really just makes me wonder, like, how closely resembled does RCJ attitude-wise to?
I mean, from the reaction of Carpo and Crow. Pretty well. Like, I mean, not all the time, but much of the time he does echo.
I've got to believe that OG didn't know that this is how it was going to turn out.
I would personally guess he didn't know the details, but he might have known very broad strokes.
Well, this leads me to my theory that I thought that Crow, while I think she was, I don't want to say tricked, I think she was goaded into causing the shattering. I think whatever OG was originally going to do was going to be like, the same thing, but even just make it so he couldn't come back, and in this way, through the shattering, which is infinitely worse than whatever he had planned, which was him gonna go fade off and die in the darkness or whatever equivalent of that is, while still keeping the majority of his like actual presence around. The shattering did whatever it needed to do, which was, I'm assuming, break the bonds before they all became one. Again, this is a theory. I don't know. We know hardly
Piggybacking off
anything.
my theory, I see
Yeah.
how it is.
Well, I mean, it's a really good theory, and it makes sense.
I flattered, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't disagree. That's a decent conjecture for sure. Like it would fit as one possible thing.
But that makes me
CJ
wonder.
is nothing if not self-sacrificing.
Yeah, that's the thing. But you know that hearing this, right? Like if CJ knew, like, so if I do this and I break the bond, they're all going to be crazy for forever. For until we all come back together again, they are going to be miserable, insane, kill each themselves, each other. I mean, it's
maybe he thought it was the lesser evil, or
again, that's a really good point. What if the alternative is like, yeah, so we have all that pain and suffering, or they all get absorbed into me and I never see them again? It's yeah, I could see.
Or he goes instead. I mean, can you imagine what it would do to him?
Yeah.
To lose them. Like, let's not avoid flipping this around. What if CJ lost everyone?
Yeah, that's.
I don't think his psyche would survive that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking, are we talking like everybody, like not just the shards, everybody?
At least just the. I mean, do you think an event that would wipe out the shards would spare the rest of them?
Well, I mean, it's like, okay, so do we think? I was mainly thinking about Sarah. I feel like I'm not saying.
Well, even Sarah, like Sarah on her own, I don't feel would be enough to prevent him from going postal.
I don't think you're entirely wrong, and I agree with that. Sarah would be the only, like, okay, maybe Sarah keeps it together. I'm sure it would be awful. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but there's a huge problem with Sarah being the only one left. The power dynamic he has, whether he works it that way or not, is that he is the master, she is the servant. Even if not consciously, he would very easily make her do things and have her agree with him.
Well,
even if it drove her insane in the process.
Yeah, I know it was a small chance. She was the only thing keeping me up, like 10%, like maybe, but probably not.
I wouldn't rule
especially because she feels everything he feels.
Yeah, and she loves them just as much as he does. I mean, and she's shown that she's not 100% stable herself. So.
Oh, of course not. Seems like that runs for. Seems to be a theme for fairies.
I mean, they're creatures of emotion. That's a given. They're creatures of almost pure emotion. So yeah, absolutely, that's a given. They wipe out the entire reality as if it never existed. So that's it. So that's the real apocalypse threat. Is the
but you knew that already, didn't you?
Yeah,
you've seen their capacity.
You've seen their capacity for it. Yeah. There's nothing
he
that
says
you
this.
or
There's nothing that you or I can do to prevent your
on our own. I think he means on their own. Like in and of themselves, they can't. They need. He's trying to find it.
Because
I think you're right. No, yeah, I mean,
yeah, there's nothing that you or I can prevent your imminent death, but we can make it mean something, everything. Which is super weird because if CJ dies, how is he literally says that Tsukiko draws power from CJ in order to keep them all contained. Does that mean that maybe
I suspect
once they
that
get
his belief
it all balances out?
Yeah, his belief is that if they can reach the point of binding Hebe, or Hebe, however you want to pronounce it, that will at least allow the constellations to stabilize, and therefore prevent the destruction of the world. Because remember that basically his hope is that they will balance each other out.
Yeah.
And prevent that from the destruction of the world by having them all fall bound to Tsukiko, and then I suppose maybe he's thinking that in theory Tsukiko can basically use the way that those are balanced against each other to keep them all in check and therefore not rampaging. Maybe.
Yeah, especially they balance each other out. I guess that's his plan. But again, I feel like they're all bonded at this point. I feel like if CJ dies, it's fucking over anyway. I don't know. And
I mean, the only ones who are directly bonded to each other outside of 2CJ are Vic and Leia. In terms of their rings.
Yes. Yeah.
And here's Tsukiko interceding. Who been talking about, man?
Grandpa running. Oh shit.
Fuck. Oh look, it's the goddess I made that really wants me dead.
Hmm.
But yes, everyone now taking a breath, sitting down, sorting through shit.
Of
And
course.
Haruki and Co. forced to see, Kay. Everyone now, like, the reality is sinking in. And they were trapped in illusions, which is why they were asleep. Or vice versa.
Again, really interesting.
Yeah, right?
Because that's another thing that we're trying to figure out, like who is casting the illusion in the, Uxo's realm and all this sort of stuff. Very interesting. Was it all Grandpa?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or was it
make
even
sense.
Lindsay?
Yeah,
Or
was
we
Lindsay?
don't know. We don't know. Although that would make the question mark as to who the heck the mom entity is in that regard.
That's
so we don't know.
yeah, that's. Well, we don't. I feel like in my opinion, we don't have enough information to make a educated guess on
No,
who that person is. I would argue that it's probably, maybe it's a world where CJ died again. Who knows? Because whenever CJ and her are talking, she seems to be like, she calls him a different name, even though. So he must look like whoever she thought he was.
Well, he doesn't. She can't see his face. Remember, they can't see each other's faces. They're blurred to each other. But she played the role of his mother.
Similar enough, I guess. Maybe
she's been alone. She's been alone. That's the thing. She says at one point she's been alone for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a kind of theory. There's like several choices here. Some people would suggest that it's Hebe acting in some regard. Others would say it's an alternate other side entity. But consider for a moment the possibility that the mom is actually herself a CJ Shard, one that lost her world and was cast adrift in the other side. Because we know that shards don't have to correspond to gender; they can be different genders, as Hector demonstrated.
But why? I don't know. That's weird.
I mean, it would explain why she would be drawn into an illusion if she was nearby when it was cast, because she is a CJ Shard.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's just one possibility amongst many.
No, you're not wrong. That makes sense. It's just weird to have two CJ shards being like that sort of not together, but like that was supposed to be a world where CJ was not who he was.
Or maybe that was what she brought to the illusion, was that was her world without it all going horribly wrong. Maybe she was actually the focal point of the illusion.
Who knows? I hate not having enough information. Such a pain in the ass.
welcome to my life. Yeah. But yes, everyone, the girls with the Baron. Look at that. 3 girls around CJ are the ones with the rings complete at this point. So that's not a mistake. Kieran's just broken.
Kieran, my beloved, please.
She is just shut down.
Please.
She's reeling. Sarah trying to, but just what is there to say after that kind of experience? What is there to say? I mean, everyone's quiet, like just reeling.
Yeah.
Jamie though, stepping up a little bit here. She's at least trying to. We were played for fools, all of us. There's Mizzy and Kay sharing a bit of a look there. Haruki and Shiori are each coming to grips with the fact that, ghosts are real and the world is in danger of dying.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to deny. It's
all I accomplished was laying
when it happens in front of you.
Right. All I accomplished was laying the seeds for them. The former richest man in the world. Again, not saying his name because they can't remember it. No one can.
That just totally reminds me of like the most interesting man in the world. I know. It's like, and who? Oh, the former richest man in the world created.
He orchestrated our kidnapping from beyond the grave. Like you can feel the disbelief there, but at the same time. Yeah, I mean, Ash is like, it sounds ridiculous. Life usually does.
Yeah.
Mizui showing her age there, like, on an emotional level. And there's been no sign of, no, they're like ghosts. Just saying, we had a sequence with ghosts at the start of this arc.
Nope, they're like ghosts. Hmm.
Lindsay clearly has some sort of powers now. She had powers back then as well. But that Missouri probably doesn't know that, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, we referred to her as a girl before. I'm sure information on her wasn't quite up to date for everybody.
According to what Lindsay said, those two are responsible for the murders. Which is, again, if the fact they killed a teacher and others, and her professed hatred, Lindsay's professed hatred of spiritual or spiritually connected
Yeah.
individuals is putting a lot of things
Well,
up for, like, question marks.
that makes me, well, I would argue that, I mean, you could be right. I would think that to me seems like the individual, fuck, what's her name that we're calling her now? Sorry.
Shrike.
Yeah, it seems like Shrike definitely, I feel like that was just personal. Like, that one, it feels like she got given the power to fucking bash heads in even more so than she
Yeah, but I
already
think she
had,
would.
and now
She just wants to. She just wants to kill people. I
Yeah.
think she was just happy to do that. I mean, the only other possibility, I think, we know that one we saw getting killed was a teacher. So maybe that person was someone who knew about Lindsay's bullying but turned a blind eye.
That's a good point. I mean, especially if Lindsay's like, you all fucking denied it. I cannot believe nobody fucking
you let
listened
this
to
happen to me. Yada yada yada. I went to you and you did nothing. You know, I mean, revenge fantasy.
So me being the better person, I'm gonna kill you now.
Or to stop you from neglecting anyone else.
Sure, that's the emotional
rationalization.
Yeah,
she's rationalizing her. I mean, her rationalization for what she does to Shiori and Haruki is like, oh, look at. If you take a step back from it, you realize she had them kidnapped basically so that she could say to Kieran, "Look, I'm better than you." How fucking selfish is that?
It's pretty.
Yeah, like it doesn't. Horrible things happen to Lindsay. Horrible things happening to you, however, do not justify doing shit like that. That's not how it works.
I think that just happened to work out for Lindsay, though. I think that was just Grandpa's plan. I was like, cool, we're gonna get Crow away from fucking CJ.
Yeah, I mean, he's just sees them as tools, and he probably feels like that they could be easily dealt with. I mean, he's probably not wrong. Comparatively speaking, these two are not that dangerous.
No,
At least not
I mean, in a little bit, of course, Leah's gonna do what Leah does, and Leah's gonna Leah out and Leah everywhere, all over them. But I don't doubt it whenever she's like, I'm just gonna fucking kill them. That's just what's gonna happen. I don't.
I mean, Leah's the personification of the idea that if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Of course, that's how you're supposed to live your life, right?
I mean, not ideally, but for some.
I'm fucking with you.
And Leia's like that little fucking shit, murdering people. Glass houses, Leia. Glass houses.
Leah's being totally oblivious. Like, I can't believe she would do something like this. I'm gonna go do what she just did.
I'm going to kill her. But don't underestimate her companion. Most of these murders were blunt force trauma, clearly the work of a gene-modified individual.
Yeah, makes sense.
But someone who's on a par with... I think Haruki's like, you can't just kill people!
Yeah.
But she didn't. How is that fair? You're right. She thinks we're monsters. Ashley, now this is her moment.
Again.
She steps up and just...
Ashley,
and do you know who she's really echoing here? And although probably not consciously? CJ.
Yeah.
This is exactly
CJ, dude, I know Anon's talked about this before, but CJ and fucking Ashley are really fucking similar. It really shows. And these last couple chapters she's really grown on me, and I've really appreciated it. I can
feel M's heart swelling as you say that.
No, I mean, look, I said this months ago, even before this, even before Kieran's asterisk arc started. Ashley's been growing on me for sure. It was a slow burn, and now I'm really liking it. She's
Ashley really
a fan favorite for sure.
We're doing this for more than ourselves. We are not the monsters these people believe us to be.
Sure.
Which is exactly what CJ's point to Grandpa was back in Jamie's arc. You're calling me a monster, but I'm not. That's what you call me. What's the point of saving the world if you make it into a place? And then looking across to Kieran and Sarah, she says that it's a pretty heavy moment.
Yeah.
But Kieran's just say it. Tell me what a fuck up I am. Misaki trying to help, but Kieran's just in a full-blown depression spiral right now.
not whatever that
Whatever
was.
that was. No one's blaming you. I mean, except Kieran,
Well,
like, a lot. Holy shit.
I mean, okay, again, not that whole sequence is.
I
Not
mean,
Kieran's
it's not
fault,
impossible.
but
You can't rule it out. Like, given the subtlety of his manipulations, it quite possibly was a whole manipulation by Grandpa. Now that we know that he can manipulate in this way.
yeah. Guys, Grandpa's not the main villain. Guys, chapter 4. We're still here.
Guys, Grandpa's just doing what's necessary. He's not really the bad guy. My brother in Christ.
My brother in Christ. This is not what's necessary.
Okay, a beautiful sentiment and one I hope you treasure dearly. But you can hear the fact of the matter is that two women now stand between us and saving this planet.
Yeah.
Kay is still Grandpa's secretary. Don't get me wrong; she's willing to be wrong, but oof.
Yeah, in this matter, my mind is unchanged. Which, again, hold on, let's be clear here. They're not completely wrong. I do feel like, however, this is one of the situations where you can handle it differently, and we probably should. So,
I think the problem is that they're as a group now dealing with stakes that are so high that everything has become a zero-sum game.
oh, someone, I know, it's just like one little thing happens, and then it's immediately like, we kill them. It's,
Like I said, Leia's, she's got a hammer and everything is a nail. And Teresa rallying it up. They fucking kill people. They're killers. We are not. Teresa again, getting it right on the head.
we have our council here, and one's like,
CJ,
no.
but CJ is not. CJ ordinarily would be intervening by now. He would be peacemaking, but he's still still reeling.
He's thinking.
He is still reeling from, and I wonder if he's told them about the whole "you're gonna die" bit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. Judging by how, relatively speaking, calm they are, I don't think he did.
Did he, I'm sure he told them that Grandpa showed up, right? Was that?
Yeah,
mentioned?
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he did. Did he? But maybe he didn't. I'm pretty sure he did though.
I'm thinking he did. That may have just been said. Hold on. Let's
go. No, I don't think it's directly mentioned at all. Actually.
So it would be something that Jamie said, because Jamie would have been the one to mention it.
God, did we miss?
Oh, your grandfather.
No, that's just Kay talking about that. That's not. So that's not a admittance.
No. Ashley says it earlier. Hold on. She says.
I don't.
Hold on. No, she does say it. She says, or one of them says that he orchestrated this.
Oh yeah, the grandpa. Yeah, he planned, but that doesn't mean that CJ told them about.
True. That doesn't mean that CJ told them.
Told them about the whole "you're gonna die" bit.
Yeah. Also, like to point out, Vic has not said anything.
She's just focused on CJ at this point.
Yeah.
She's feeling something is up with him, but I don't think she quite knows what it is.
Also, I'm of the opinion that she probably would just like whatever CJ decides is what. She's not
Yeah,
going to
I mean, yeah.
She's going to be like, yep, whatever you want.
She's very submissive to CJ in pretty much every sense of the term.
You love to bring that up.
It's like, true, and I'm not.
Love to bring it up. You just love to bring it up. I mean, you're not wrong. I don't think you are wrong. I love it every single time that you can. You do bring it up.
I love her, right? Fuck you. I'm sorry if I'm a little hung up on her because she's so goddamn good.
I mean, I agree. She's my favorite for sure. I'm trying not to be biased here.
Fuck that noise.
If we want to be biased...
No, fuck that. Fuck that. 100% biased.
Guys, this is now a Vic episode.
This is now a Vic cast. This is now the Vic cast of it.
But then we've got Ashley.
And the music kicks up, and Ashley is about to...
Yep.
Here it is. Fuck Lindsay. Fuck Duggar. We're ignoring her. She's so fucking right. Yep. But yes, interesting she calls her a snake when that's exactly what the Shrike's eyes look like, a snake.
Yep. That's true. I mean, she makes it we've got the team
and
together
you dig
now.
into that word. Weird deal. And tell me if any of that made sense. If you all really are shards, then so it'll work. There's the possibility.
It'll work. We can try.
We can try.
That's
Thumbs
the kind
up.
of positivity I want to hear.
I mean, it's worth noting that from what little bits we do know about Hebe's position in the court, that she was the first consort and the most powerful entity apart from old OG himself. She presumably had quite an important role.
Mm-hmm. When the king's away, someone's got to take charge.
Shit, do we need you? Yeah, I mean you've heard one of my theories about what Hebe's been up to, maybe. But this chapter kind of puts a bit of a big dent in that idea, but which I'm not upset by at all because it was just a theory.
It's okay. None of the theories we ever make are ever fucking true.
Well, I mean, not when you get to this level of guesswork.
Yeah. Well, it's just lack of it. It's literally lack of information. Like, because I mean, it's not like we can.
Or sometimes it's a case of just talking about a lot of information, but that you have information that is in pieces and can mean a huge number of different things.
Because then, but then it gets revealed, and it's like, oh, okay, well that was kind of obvious, or oh yeah, that makes sense because with all the information we currently.
I mean, that's how you construct a well-written story. You don't just like narrow things down to the point where you can see what's coming.
Yeah, but if it was a well-written story, it would be rated higher because people that rate things higher.
I'm
going to
stab you in the face right now.
No,
I'm actually going to do that.
Dude,
I'm going to fly to Texas, hunt you down.
No. People that give things high ratings typically have shit taste, apparently, because oh my god.
Well, they tend to have very binary tastes, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, let's move forward.
Yeah, baby.
CJ really sparking off of Ash's gusto there, and it's like just a look, and it's true. Ashley just, I know it's asking a lot, empathizing, but still getting the point across that it needs to be done.
Yeah, but we really need your help.
And Haruki's like, what the fuck are you... No, what?
You just explained to us that the gods in the afterlife are not only real, but are trying to destroy reality, and now you want us to help fight it? I'm just a fucking swimmer.
And then Shiori, the look.
Uh-oh.
Which you may have seen before on Olivia.
Yeah,
but
a couple of Olivia.
I know where she got that from. Yep. Probably Kay herself as well. What a natural little Lelia. If it works, it worked. And as we're saying that, Ash does lead. She's the head leader of her little group of circle of friends.
Again, being outshone by your godly friends whenever you're actually just a regular, normal, popular person, fucking,
it's something.
It sucks.
But it's the Kieran, like, yeah, look, Kieran is like, wow, she's not, and something that she can do, something she can help with.
Let's do this.
And notice the red has gone out of that streak of blonde. But she probably always was, but lighting, I'm just saying the lighting was indicative.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. I mean, it's definitely, it could be the lighting, it could also be it could be both. It's the lighting has changed and it looks different. Also, it's fucking red because you know why.
Yeah. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll be in and out. 15-minute adventure.
15-minute adventure. In and out. Immediately cuts to them sobbing. Nothing happened. But yeah, this is where big mystery gets thrown. Like we've already had a chapter that is just packed with what the fuck but that could mean. But what does that mean? And now we get the crowning moment of that effect from this coming sequence.
True, but again, I feel like this chapter has answered a lot of questions, and I don't feel confused by it. More like eager to see what's next.
Yes, no, I agree. It's not.
Any questions to have can't be answered right now.
The only kind of confusion is that this is quite dense as a chapter. It's not too dense. It gets close, but there's a lot happening at once. There's a lot of pieces now slotting into place or starting to look like they might.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes,
whatever happens, we have to keep them safe. We've got
and that which shows you just how far Kieran.
That's the mission.
Yeah. That serious hair time. Serious hair. Yep. Like that's rapidly becoming a motif. Where shit's about to go down, Kieran does a hair like that.
It's
now.
serious hair time, baby.
Ooh, go back. That line from CJ. Glad you're with us. I feel like that line is a huge flag. Because remember, this is Kieran's arc. Kieran asterisk because it includes Misaki, but again, I'm going to say it again. I've said it several times. Kieran is the wild card. Kieran is the element that I think is going to change everything.
It's over, CJ. You have no more cards to play. That's where you're wrong. I have this fuck it we ball button right next to me.
Fuck it, we ball.
She follows no rules,
Raw,
no laws,
absolutely
no
raw
government
carnage.
controls her.
I like his final card is just raw unadulterated. You know that little fucking internet meme where it's like, we're the super friends, we're gonna defeat you with the power of love, friendship, unrestrained violence.
That's right.
Yeah, that's basically it right there.
Let's get it. And of course, Sarah giving her nod of approval.
But yes, Kay throwing herself in, which just this whole sequence also highlights that Foley's theory of Kay's gonna fucking die in this arc, which it's pretty up there as a possibility. We're bringing them all home safe. Leia just wants to kill something at this point.
Yeah, I know.
And
she hasn't killed anything in the last 4 chapters. She's
like Mick's just like we need to bring them back. That's all that matters. And Leia's like, yeah, let's just kill shit until we can get them back. It's simple.
So, Leah, we need to go to the store. So we're gonna kill somebody, right? No. We just need.
We just kill
groceries.
anyone on the way to the store. Anyone who gets in our way, physically blocks the path. There's a queue at the store. Dead. Wipe out the queue.
Dude. Yeah. Fucking.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love her, but it's yeah.
Yeah, no, I do too. I give it her.
But I love the look here. Okay, go back a couple of just one. Look at the Maya's looking almost regretful. Matoy's fully professional, but look at the look on Mikan's, just her look. Almost she's almost what I call lazy-eyed. If you just go forward a little, I genuinely feel that Mikan may in actual fact be the most dangerous of the trio of maids. She just gives me that vibe of she's all sweetness and light, but
yeah, I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it past her. I really wouldn't. The maids mean business for sure. And then
Jamie, I'm having a little moment right there. Ash, focus your mind on the stuff.
Focus on the blue-green thoughts, grass, rivers, or something.
But yeah, here we go. In at the deep end, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Clap. Cyan, combination of blue and green, and then blue and green comes out from that. Anon's color fetish really in full realization.
Color fetish.
What can we call it at this point?
No, I mean you're not wrong.
Yes, they are now on the other side, if only just, as they will discuss shortly.
Yep.
Ash in her spiritual form. Oh. And it's worth noting, Kay gets a spiritual form and is separate on the other side. And now looks her age. And, well, I would say her age. I think this is more a reflection of the damage done to her spiritually.
Yeah, I would say that it's... Poor Kay.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, and that is Crow's influence there.
Yeah, and then dear, you must remember, she was bound to me long before she was ever bound to you.
Although, yeah, it's good to see both of you. Yeah.
Holy shit! There really are two of you fuckers.
Thank you, Ash. Yes, Ash. Subtle as ever. Oh god. Yeah. And this whole sequence, while abrupt, does really make you feel like they were meant to be.
Yeah.
And Ash just embraces it. Hi, sis. And Kieran looking on just like, yeah, this is good. I like this. This is... Yeah. It is fucking adorable. It has to be said. That outfit leaves much to be desired.
What's wrong with my
What's wrong with my
super
super
suit?
suit? I look better
badass.
I know modesty is a dead concept in this day and age, but it leaves nothing to the. She is just channeling her. Although, considering what she was apparently like when she was a young lady, I'm not sure I'm really taking this too seriously. And then Ash's response is classic Ashley. Yep. Over the top, bikini
happy?
over the top.
No.
No.
If anything,
If
that just
anything,
made it
that
worse.
just made it worse. I am objectively wearing more clothing. You are your mother's daughter. Yep, she knows her kids. I'll take that. Well, I just want to point out that yes, hypersexuality seems to run in the family, and who's the root of the family?
Yeah, who do we have to blame for that? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so Kieran now actually getting us back to the point. Thank you, Kieran. Where are we, guys?
Well, actually, Kay says something interesting here, which I don't know. I guess maybe she had mentioned it whenever, because of course she was working with Grandpa and all that sort of stuff, so she's aware.
She did a lot of her own spiritual shit.
But
as well,
she says we're in the astral space normal to our plane of existence, a millimeter deep into the ocean, close enough for the currents to take us anywhere. She says this is as far as I've ever gotten before Hayato died, and I found his record.
After Hayato died, he found his.
Yeah, so she's been here before, which is super interesting. I don't know if
She's
it's
messed
really
with. Don't forget that
it's
she was the
super
one
interesting.
helping to teach Mizue magic. So,
Yes.
Yes. Although the interesting other note from this is that Haruki and Shiori have not manifested separately. They apparently are here.
That's
As we all about to
because
reveal, they are inside Ashley. Because again,
Stomach.
she's the vessel.
They ate
So where
her,
does the
or
power
she
go?
ate 'em.
I mean, in a sense, she vought them. Actually vought her cousins.
Okay, alright. Fucking none of that. None of that.
I'm getting ahead of it. You know people are going to say it. I'm just getting ahead of it.
Yes,
so
but
can
we
crush
don't
it.
have to encourage it.
Hey, no, we're not encouraging. We're acknowledging it, so then you could crush it, and we
No.
can just move on.
We can continue to ignore it.
I'm just saying, man.
Look,
Ignorance is not a long-term survival strategy.
Is that a Foley thing?
It's 100%.
Okay,
A Foley
see,
thing.
that's not going to stop Foley. He's just going to continue to be that way.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so yes, this kind of hammers home that the point that was raised earlier, that Ashley per se doesn't have power of her own in a direct sense, as Kay now enunciates, that she's the vessel for the power of the other shards. And they're like, huh? What? I didn't do it.
Actually, I actually imagine she says that like I didn't do anything, like really like sad.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we really are or are supposed to be sisters. Maybe Crow taking away bodies what screwed everything up. But what about Haruki and Shiori? What about Emily? What about Emily indeed? I think they are Ashley, at least a part of her. I agree with you. Reality echoed the fracture Hebe has seemingly endured back. Okay, that line, go back.
Mhm.
That is so important, I think. If that is the case, Hebe may not be like intentionally an antagonist, but she may be so damaged that she is just shattered across even more than OG is, possibly.
Yeah, because
So
we
what
never,
people
we don't see a form for her.
What people perceive, this is one possibility, what people perceive as her being withdrawn may be simply the fact she isn't there in the same way the others are. What if the damage done in the shattering was to her was almost as bad as it was done to OG?
Yeah, that's.
What if the
that's a
reason
good
her
point.
shards, the reason people can't see her when her shards are meant to appear is that they are so weak that they spiritually don't register.
Other than what Crow said before, which is that she's seen shards and they have like zero, almost no power. Like,
Yeah.
Ashley doesn't have any power because of what happened because of what Crow did, but and then we'll see this later. But it would the idea that she's super shattered and he's just trying to coalesce all of her stuff
Yeah.
back together. That
I mean,
makes
this-
more sense.
This kind of links with the theory I have that I've mentioned before with Habe, that maybe Hebe's been trying to hold together the role that OG had in creation all this time, and it's
Yeah.
strained her so badly that she's basically in pieces. And that's why, as we're about to see coming up ahead, as they try to draw closer to Hebe, that they end up being almost sucked into her, and it's not a happy thing.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, this whole back and forth just shows that they are.
Yeah.
It really grinds at home. And Kieran almost looking regretful, almost. Like there's a touch there of. That's how things are meant to be, you know. That's the vibe I get from it, which kind of adds to my concern that Kieran may do something
not
really
Kieran's
reckless.
fault, but she still feels bad. Yeah,
but you know, emotions lead us to strange places, and sometimes very odd choices. All right, let's do this now. You got it, Miss Green Blue Pants. Thank you, Ash.
If she wears pants.
But look, notice the framing. If you go back a bit, the 3 shard pieces on the one side, Kieran on the other, with a separation between. Just worth noting.
Of course.
Kieran feeling something.
Everything means something in this.
Yeah, but Kieran is feeling something right now. She's sensing, which I suspect is Crow's presence as they draw closer. And here we go. Very heavy sequence about to come up of just, what the hell does this mean? A tugging sensation. There's something out there. And here come the others. Kione, you meddle with that which you do not understand. Capo, the willful traitor. One of the few things we still agree on. Which, can you feel it, Crow? Do you realize she calls her Crow? Like, how more obvious can you get? Do you realize what a horrible mistake you have just made? And even Orkso, a world bereft of light and water. Blood seeps from the wounds of the world, its oceans nothing but congealing quagmires where nightmares leave their wakes. I will not tolerate such impurity. It's interesting that Orkso is the one who isn't aiming her ire at him personally. It's some of the element that's going on that's connected to her.
Yeah, she says, your ongoing fascination with our wayward quarter has put this world in peril. Interesting.
Yeah, they're basically pulling the, Hebe's attention is apparently a bad thing. Big bad. She wants them. How curious, Matevich, what are you planning?
Still got that fucking outline.
I mean, there's a lot going on in this color sequence here. There it is, the brief outline we see there.
Yep.
And their rings being pulled, or rather the ones that they're connected to their goddess being pulled towards them. But Kay is not, interestingly, so it has to be, which just shows that, Misaki's rings are...
Not yet, but it's about to.
Yeah. And look, their rings activate, going not just to red, but all the way straight up to being...
The green?
Mm-hmm.
And then
both.
Ashley... So, hold on, if you'll notice, because obviously...
Hers is just green.
Yeah, green.
Just,
well,
hers is the combination. It's cyan. It's the combination of both together.
That's just because that's how CJ's are. And then that's actually Ashley's ring right there, which is the crossover of both.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what CJ's look like now that they're activated. So that
I bet you would. I mean, I would bet you would just look like that one because Kieran
Prob-
only has the
probably.
rings that look like CJ's. Maybe.
I mean,
maybe
yeah,
not.
maybe. We don't know. She feels it doing something. So her power is now activated, and then it says her ring. And then, now her power.
But she's way too weak to be trying to
resisting
resist
it.
that.
Yeah. But it's interesting that maybe that her hand is raised as well, and it's in total shadow. So I wonder if she has her own rings.
That's a really good question.
And Kieran steps in because, like they said,
Yeah, that's
it's
the
about bringing them
mission.
back. That's the mission.
That's the mission here.
I can't go there. See, Ash instinctively knows something is wrong.
Yeah.
Kay is drifting away. Kieran's struggling. And this was not planned or expected in any show. But look at this outline here. Is this a person? Is this a hand reaching out? We just don't know.
It definitely, to me, looks like a person, like, with their hands behind their head, like, freaking
or hands
out.
held up to their head.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we just don't know what Heve's condition is, so it could be that she's not in control here at all. Much like how Oxo wasn't really in control with how she was handling Teresa. But Misaki it's okay. Let me go. Save her. Like fucking hell I will. So this whole sequence to me indicates that maybe the goddesses know a bit more about what's going on with her, or at least have walled her off in some way.
Yeah, I mean, they all, like, literally probably just said, all agree that she's a traitor. For what? Again, we don't know. And it's interesting.
Well, I think it's the same reasons Crow says that she's a traitor. I would guess it's logical that she wants to try and take Glory's throne. That's what they believe. Whether that's actually the case or not,
that's what I mean. We don't.
But Kieran just refusing to let go because, like, it's the mission, right?
Yep, that's the mission.
And here we go. You won't get far. You don't even have enough hands. Crow. I promised, darling, I wouldn't bother you with that.
Real Crow.
Real Crow.
Crow we should mention.
But you did make this so necessary. Of course, they can't escape. Using her power only draws one closer to the source. But you're mine. You aren't hers. There it is.
As if it couldn't be any more fucking clear, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's that connection. And bear in mind, Orxo is right there, looking. And what is we know about Orxo, anything under Orxo's gaze? It's true. You cannot lie in front of Orxo.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah.
Even if not physically, it's a symbolic thing. It still counts.
Definitely.
And then here we go. But yes, Crow interceding at the end there. And Sarah jumping in to try and save things. But as Anya, we're on the other side. And there we go. Cliffhanger.
Oh, man.
Wow. All right. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter, ladies and gentlemen. Big cliffhanger. This chapter, I think, feels shorter than it is because of how much happens. It's not actually short. It's just there is a lot going on in rapid succession.
It felt pretty... Yeah, it felt pretty...
It's also a little bit more dialogue light than others, oddly enough. Like, it's actually... there's a lot of visual storytelling going on with the color sequence changes and all that sort of stuff. So that's another factor that folds into that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But,
I don't really have any...
what is there to say? We just don't have enough information.
Yeah.
We're basically in the middle of an action sequence.
It's a lack of information. Just don't know. We could...
Yeah. I mean, and we can't ignore the fact that next chapter is 49, and then the chapter after that is a double release, 50-51.
Yep, which will be the end of Karen Astra arc. So...
But also worth knowing that her arc is going to just bleed and skip directly into Ash's arc.
Yeah.
So,
Which
and also that 50-50.
Interesting to think about, because we can't know what's going to happen in the future chapters. But if this is still considered Kieran's arc, we're not about to get a resolution for Hebe.
No. This is just purely my guess, because as we said, we just don't know enough. I think Hebe's in some kind of extreme situation. And I think that...
I do think the outline is literal somebody in agony. I think that's hate.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she's trapped in a world that's in a torturous state. And I don't know. We don't know. I mean, there's just so much stuff that could be interpreted from what we know already.
Yeah.
And I do feel that, however, that I feel like the way this is going to resolve the end of Kieran's arc, which is 50-51, this is kind of my prediction for the 50-51 twist, which I've talked about a little bit in chat. The idea that CJ is going to have to reset something or rewrite something using his god powers by having sex with Tsukiko, because as we know, that could big bang and reset the universe. But maybe he uses that to try and get around this whole "you're doomed to die" thing, or maybe he does it to try and save something or change something or something like that, which then resets the board enough for us to proceed into Ash's arc.
Yeah, I think that's whatever the conjunction's going to end up being with Jamie and CJ. It's definitely going to be for that reason. I don't think it's just going to happen just because.
No, I think, and I don't. As we've gotten closer, I'm less enamored with the idea that we're going to see a complete reset, because one of Anon's big influences for this for Oot is the Muv-Luv series, and the way the Muv-Luv series iterations work is that the core series is 3 games, and each game is the same story, but told by the fact that the main character is, once he gets to the end of the previous game, he will die or fail or something, or it will be not a success, and then it will reset him to the start of the timeline.
Thanks for spoiling. I was going to play that.
It's an over 10-year-old game. I feel no shame.
I'm just messing with you.
But I'm sorry. If a game's over that age, I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you guys, but it's a keep conceit. And
guys, if you feel angry at Rayze, make sure to leave a comment letting me
know.
Oh,
fuck you. I'm not gonna. No, I'm sorry. If you're angry, just, I don't know, suck it up, chuckle for Twinkle Toes.
Oh wow. That's not very therapist of you.
I'm not in therapist mode right now. I'm in Rayze's always right mode right now.
We're in based mode right now.
We're in based mode right now. But yeah, so I mean, I've toyed with the idea that maybe Anon might do something similar with 50-51, where he resets things and we take a step back into time, or maybe change memory. But I don't know. That would be a huge risk to take. I feel from a narrative perspective, a reset like that is it either works really well or really badly, and there's very little middle ground.
I don't have any basis for this other than the one scene where CJ meets up with his black,
with Sigma.
Yeah, his black headband version of himself, where that version of himself is wandering,
and he meets him again at the start of this chapter as well, of this arc, as well.
I am of the opinion that maybe some sort of situation where it's like it shunts CJ away and he's alone. Like, he's not maybe an immediate danger, but like the rest of them. A consequence of what he does with Tsukiko could be him being cast into the other side. Yeah,
which would make sense in some ways. It's notable that from Tropicali, Gloria does not remember his name. And I know you can say, oh, it was years ago. But come on, you tend to remember who one of your best friend's boyfriend is. You had, it's now, weird, right?
To be fair, that doesn't mean that it could be a grandpa situation where it's like, we remember that the richest man that ever existed. I just don't remember who he is.
Yes, that's what I'm saying is more likely the case, is that because... and that would make sense to be linked to how you if you're spiritually different enough and out of tune with the world,
or how CJ wiped his mom's memory.
Yes, basically severing the karmic threads. It's like I know I keep harping
gets hurt if they don't know me. Goodbye.
They can't get hurt. They don't know, but or maybe it's just a side effect. If not a consequence of it.
I would argue it's probably a side effect too. The conjunction happens.
So maybe he makes And also, I really do keep coming back to that line from 46 that he gives to Kieran when they're lying down on the bed. If I have any power, I will use all of it to save you.
What if the conjunction is CJ trying to save Kieran?
That's my guess. That's literally the core. That's my guess for it. I mean, again, this is a guess. Is that something happens with Kieran, and CJ uses the power of the conjunction to save Kieran. And the cost of it is that he gets cast into the other side.
Yeah.
And then his journey on the other side, and I'm guessing through multiple worlds, will be where he's trying to find his way back to them, and they're trying to find their way to him.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with all that. I think that could be what happens. Again, we don't know.
Yeah. Again, we don't know. This is just me throwing out more ideas, but I feel like it's possible. Which interesting, and it's interesting because that would still be a kind of reset, but it would just reset the board on a different scale.
Yeah.
Because we go from it being mostly terrestrial focused, it just be to the other side is now the game board. But yes, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. That was, I don't know how long that was, but it's like we said at the beginning, a very dense chapter, lots of things to talk about, and most of them we can't really offer much resolution to because we simply don't have that information yet. We're kind of at that point where a lot of things are in motion and are going to lead to resolutions, but we're not there yet. Join us next time. Join us next time, 49, where actually I think 49 is where we're going to have Kaz. And then 50-51, we don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. We've got some people wanting in. Who knows?
Yeah.
When it comes to more serious chapters like this, we did want to take a step back and go, okay, we kind of got lucky with when we started because the chapters that we started on were the beginning chapters of an arc, which are typically a little bit more lighthearted, set-up-y,
yes.
Lots of dates, great chapters for sure, but not a whole lot of lore-intensive, deep delving.
Usually it's resolving threads from the previous stuff and finishing off relationships and character arc stuff more than it is big plot stuff.
But Rayze is right. We will see you for the next episode of Oot Cast. I hope the rest of you enjoyed this super long episode.
And it'll be two months wait because next month is Tropicalia, as I recall.
Yep, next month is Tropicalia. So, hey, enjoy that.
Have a good one, guys, and good day, good night.
See y'all later.